Chapter 846. We went to that teleportation array, but after we dismantled some of the devices, we couldn't reinstall them. Even if we forcibly installed them, we wouldn't be able to activate the teleportation array. Nalan Rushua spoke in a low voice. Ning Qing shook his head secretly. The level of that teleportation array was ridiculously high. Without that heaven-defying array pattern, even he couldn't activate the Thorn-Tooth Lake's teleportation array in one direction. In fact, even after he used that array pattern, the teleportation array's one-way activation wasn't perfect. He had been forcefully teleported here. If it had been someone else, they might have been torn apart during the spatial shift. But now that Yen Ji dismantled the teleportation array, not to mention Yen Ji and Nalan Rushua, even he couldn't reinstall it with his current proficiency in array formations. Dismantling it was equivalent to destroying the spatial law chains constructed by the teleportation array. Without reaching a certain level of proficiency in the Tao of arrays, one wouldn't be able to install it. Unless Yen Ji dismantled a place that had nothing to do with the spatial law chains, which was obviously impossible. If Yen Ji dismantled a place that had nothing to do with the spatial law chains, then she and Nalan Rushua would have already teleported away. When we couldn't restore the teleportation array, senior apprentice sister Yen Ji realized that our proficiency in the Tao of arrays was too low. We desperately tried to learn the Tao of arrays, but how could the Tao of arrays be so easy to learn? Moreover, high-grade teleportation arrays also involve the laws of space. To learn more advanced laws, senior apprentice sister Yen Ji decided to go to the Grand Essence Ruins. I heard that the Grand Essence Ruins contains countless spirit techniques, laws, and treasures. It's the best place for cultivation. Nalan Rushua sighed. Why didn't you go? When Ning Qing heard Yen Ji's reason for going to the Grand Essence Ruins, he understood that this was her personality. Yen Ji was the kind of stubborn person who liked to rely on herself for everything. Nalan Rushua lowered her head. It takes nearly 100,000 spirit crystals to go to the Grand Essence Ruins. Yen Ji and I have been adventuring around here for so many years and barely managed to save 200,000 spirit crystals. It was only by chance that we came across a very expensive divine grass called Azura Heavenly Ginseng. Ning Qing understood that Yen Ji's travel expenses to the Grand Essence Ruins came from her and Nalan Rushua. He asked with some doubt, I saw someone waiting at the public square at the entrance of the Boundary Essence City waiting for the airship to go to the Grand Essence Ruins. It seems that it only costs about 10,000 spirit crystals. Nalan Rushua shook her head and said, that airship doesn't go directly to the Grand Essence Ruins but to a teleportation array cluster. After getting off the airship, the cultivators would have to use the teleportation array to teleport to the Grand Essence Ruins or somewhere else. The price to reach the Grand Essence Ruins is around 80,000 high-grade spirit crystals. If you don't have that many spirit crystals, you'll end up stuck in that place. After pausing for a while, Nalan Rushua continued, my cultivation is a bit low, not even at the heaven-seated realm. As such, staying here is a bit safer. In the past, I teamed up with some people to search for resources near the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. It's just that the speed of obtaining spirit crystals was too slow. Half a month ago, when my teammates and I were hunting sea monsters, senior brother Tao and the other two passed by and helped us once. After returning to the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, senior apprentice brother Tao Xing and the others invited me to join their team. I took into account the fact that they had to go to a faraway place and that they could get a bigger share, so I agreed. We were going to go to sea in a few days, but we happened to meet you. When Ning Qing heard Nalan Rushua's words, he knew that Nalan Rushua had truly changed a lot. If it were before, even if someone helped her, she would at most thank them. She would never agree to team up with others. Seeing Ning Qing frowning slightly and not speaking for a long time, Nalan Rushua called out with some uneasiness, senior apprentice brother Ning. Ning Qing thought about it and asked, Nalan, you only have Heaven's Mandate Realm cultivation. Why do you want to team up with 3 heaven-seated experts? Hearing Ning Qing call her Nalan, Nalan Rushua felt a little sad. But after hearing Ning Cheng's words, she quickly raised her head and asked in doubt, Senior Apprentice Brother Tao Xing and the other two are all in Heaven's Mandate Realm. Why do you say that they are in the Heaven-seated realm? All in the Heaven's Mandate Realm? Ning Cheng froze for a moment before understanding. He was an eternal expert. Therefore, the cultivation of Tao Xing and the other two naturally couldn't be a secret in his eyes. However, Naylan Rushue only had Heaven's Mandate Realm cultivation. With 3 heaven-seated experts with cultivation far higher than her, it would be a simple matter for them to hide their cultivation in front of her. It was the same reason why Tao Xing and the other two couldn't see through his cultivation. Ning Cheng spoke up with a straight face, I'm not wrong. Tao Xing, Yu Cheng, and Li Xian all have heaven-seated cultivation. Any one of them could kill you in an instant. Naylan Rushue's expression changed drastically. After a while, she bowed to Ning Cheng and said, Many thanks, Senior Apprentice Brother Ning. I understand what's going on. Why would 3 heaven-seated cultivators want to team up with her, a cultivator in Heaven's Mandate Realm? Teaming up with a Heaven's Mandate Realm cultivator to search for treasures. However, treasure hunting would always be dangerous. Moreover, if there was danger, the stronger the teammates, the better. Naylan Rushue was just a cultivator in Heaven's Mandate Realm. If she teamed up with a cultivator in the Heaven-seated realm, what help could she provide? Since she couldn't help her teammates, there must be some other reason for them to team up with her. Naylan. Ning Cheng saw Naylan Rushue's lonely expression and wanted to comfort her. But Naylan Rushue suddenly interrupted Ning Cheng's words, Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, Naylan sounds awkward. You can also call me Rushue. I was born in a big sect since childhood. Coupled with my good aptitude, I developed a bad arrogance. Over the years, I've come to understand this truth. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning looks down on me, I also know. Junior Apprentice Sister Rushue, do you have the parts for the teleportation array with you? Ning Cheng heard Naylan's grievances and quickly changed the topic. He truly didn't look down on Naylan Rushue. He just didn't want to become friends with people like Naylan. If he hadn't happened to have a talisman, Naylan Rushue's master would have already crippled him. Even when he fell into the law's way, Naylan Rushue still used him behind the scenes. Even if Ning Cheng didn't care about such things, he didn't want to have too much to do with people like Naylan Rushue. If not for Naylan Rushue's current state, Ning Cheng wouldn't have talked to her even if he wanted to know Yan Ji's whereabouts. Here. Naylan Rushue quickly took out a storage bag and handed it to Ning Cheng. There's also a positional jade strip inside, which leads to the place where the teleportation array was arranged. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness fell on the storage bag. He was an array Dao master, so after his spiritual consciousness swept through the teleportation array accessories, he understood that these were indeed the main parts. After experiencing the teleportation array in Thorn-Tooth Lake, Ning Cheng understood that without the help of high-level array patterns, he couldn't restore these things. Seeing that Ning Cheng wanted to return the things to her, Naylan Rushue quickly spoke up, Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, I'll leave these things with you. I'm not very proficient in array formations. Okay. Ning Cheng didn't refuse. With these things, it would be more convenient for him to go back in the future. Although he couldn't install these teleportation array parts now, it didn't mean that he couldn't install them in the future. Seeing Ning Cheng put away the teleportation array accessories, Naylan Rushue's mood also improved a bit. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, Tao Xing, and the others want to find us to go to Scarlet Branch Island in 3 days. Let's find a way to not go with them. Does Scarlet Branch Island really have wood origin crystals? Ning Cheng asked. Naylan Rushue nodded. Many people know about it. But there are very few cultivators who can find wood origin crystals on Scarlet Branch Island. Then let's go. Why not? Ning Cheng said with certainty. As long as there were wood origin crystals, he would naturally go there. In his eyes, 3 heaven-seated cultivators were nothing but ants. Ah! Naylan Rushue looked at Ning Cheng in doubt. Knowing that Tao Xing and the other two were heaven-seated powerhouses, why would he team up with them? Did Ning Cheng also advance to the heaven-seated realm? But it was very likely. Ning Cheng's talent wasn't any weaker than Yan Ji's. Since Yan Ji advanced to the heaven-seated realm, why couldn't Ning Cheng advance to the heaven-seated realm? Ning Cheng didn't explain the reason and instead asked, Junior Apprentice Sister Rushua, I know that the Grand Essence realm is a higher-level positional plane compared to our 4 grand starry skies. Do you know what the highest level of cultivation is here? After asking, Ning Cheng looked at Nalan Rushua with a slightly nervous expression. After seeing that red-haired powerhouse in the Grand Essence Sea, he understood that his strength wasn't worth mentioning in this place. Nalan Rushua spoke up cautiously, I used to think that cultivating to the full circle of the eternal realm was the highest level. But after coming here, I realized that the full circle of the eternal realm hasn't opened the real door to cultivation. Ning Cheng had already prepared himself for this. But after hearing these words, he still felt a little disappointed. He had been cultivating for so long, but he still hadn't opened the door. Nalan Rushua took in a deep breath. I heard that in the Grand Essence realm, only the cultivators who have started to reach Tao confirming can barely be considered as powerhouses. Tao confirming? Are you talking about Tao sculpting powerhouses? Ning Cheng asked in a deep voice. Nalan Rushua shook her head, no, Tao sculpting is just the first step to reaching Tao confirming. It is said that there are 3 steps to reaching Tao confirming. Which 3 steps? Ning Cheng asked with some eagerness. Nalan Rushua felt Ning Cheng's truthfulness. He was no longer a figure she couldn't see. Wasn't she just as eager to learn about the 3 steps to reaching Tao confirming? The first step to reaching Tao confirming is Tao sculpting, Tao birth, Tao transformation. Without waiting for Nalan Rushua to finish speaking, Ning Cheng interrupted her again, so Tao sculpting is just an initial realm in the first step to reaching Tao confirming? Nalan Rushua nodded, yes, a Tao birth powerhouse once came to the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, and I saw him from afar. What about the second step? When Ning Cheng heard about the 3 steps to reaching Tao confirming, his heart grew hotter and hotter. He had the mysterious yellow bead, and one day, he would reach the peak of the 3rd step. I heard that after transforming Tao into essence, one can take the 2nd step. The 2nd step to reaching Tao confirming is Tao essence, primordial chaos, Tao integration. When Ning Cheng heard this, he suddenly recalled the words he heard in the shop before. Someone said that a Tao integration powerhouse had also gone to the Grand Essence ruins. If even a Tao integration powerhouse was only at the 2nd step, then how strong would a 3rd step powerhouse be? Seeing Ning Cheng's eager gaze, Nalan Rushua's heart trembled. But soon, she sobered up. Ning Cheng's gaze wasn't for her, but for the 3rd step Tao confirming. Chapter 847. Seeing Nalan Rushua not speaking for a long time, Ning Cheng couldn't help but ask again, Junior Apprentice Sister Rushua, what is the 3rd step of Tao confirming? Nalan Rushua calmed herself down and tried to ease her tone before speaking, I've heard 2 theories. One is that there is no 3rd step. The other is that the Grand Essence realm's laws are incomplete, and the strongest cultivator can only reach Tao unification. Therefore, no one knows the specific realm of the 3rd step of Tao confirming. Ning Cheng stood up, I see. Thank you for telling me this. It looks like we're really ants. Ning Cheng didn't know which step of Tao confirming that red-haired cultivator had reached, but he felt sure that he couldn't survive a single move from that fellow. Senior apprentice brother Ning, most Tao confirming powerhouses don't come out. Moreover, the places where they lived were the most stable places in the Grand Essence realm. Moreover, no powerhouses come to a corner like the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. Moreover, fighting isn't allowed in the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. If we stay here and go into seclusion, we'll be equally safe. That Tao Xing wouldn't dare to find us. Nalan Rushua saw Ning Cheng stand up and thought that Ning Cheng wanted to leave. Stay here and go into seclusion. Even if Tao Xing didn't come, the spirit chi here was too thin. What was the use of staying here and going into seclusion? How long have you been at the full circle of heaven's mandate realm? Ning Cheng suddenly asked. Hearing Ning Cheng ask about her cultivation, Nalan Rushua's face flushed a little. Apparently, she was about to advance to the heaven-seated realm, which made her a little excited. It's been more than a year. I've been saving up spirit crystals. As long as I save up 100,000 spirit crystals, I can buy medicinal pills to advance to the heaven-seated realm. Once I advance to the heaven-seated realm, I'll have more places to go out to see, and I can save up 100,000 spirit crystals faster. Is it easy to advance to the heaven-seated realm here? Ning Cheng asked in doubt. He remembered that in Grand Culmination's starry sky, an accordance heavenly pill wasn't cheap. Nalan Rushua nodded. This place is better than the place we came from. You can buy any medicinal pill here, as long as you have enough spirit crystals. Last time, senior apprentice sister Yen Ji and I found an Azura heavenly ginseng and sold it for 160,000 spirit crystals. I helped senior apprentice sister Yen Ji buy an accordance heavenly pill. I see. Let's go out now. Ning Cheng decided to help Rushua advance to the heaven. Where to? Nalan Rushua had absolute trust in Ning Cheng, but she knew that Ning Cheng should have just arrived here, and was certainly not very familiar with this place. Let's find a place for you to advance to the sky immortal realm. Ah. After Ning Cheng left the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City with Nalan Rushua, he immediately flew towards the depths of the Grand Essence Sea. It wasn't until thousands of miles away from the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City that he stopped on a reef island. Senior apprentice brother Ning, are we here to advance to the heaven-seated realm? Nalan Rushua looked at Ning Cheng in doubt. Ning Cheng had said that he would wait for her to advance to the heaven-seated realm. Ning Cheng took out a jade bottle and handed it to Nalan Rushua. Yes, these are 2 accordance heavenly pills. I'll arrange a spiritual gathering array for you now. In a while, you can advance to the heaven-seated realm here. Just in case, Ning Cheng deliberately gave 2 accordance heavenly pills to Nalan Rushua. To him, the accordance heavenly pill was worthless. After Nalan Rushua advanced to the heaven-seated realm, he would take out a bottle of accordance heavenly pills to sell. After collecting enough spirit crystals to go to the Grand Essence Ruins, he would then head to the Grand Essence Ruins. Nalan Rushua took the jade card with trembling hands. When her spiritual consciousness swept inside, she immediately saw 2 accordance heavenly pills. Not only were they accordance heavenly pills, but they were also top quality. Seeing Ning Cheng arranging the teleportation array, Nalan Rushua didn't ask Ning Cheng anything. From the moment she learned a little about Ning Cheng, she understood that Ning Cheng seemed to be a powerhouse no matter where he went. When she and a group of geniuses first arrived at the Tian continent, she heard about Ning Cheng's godly might in the Tian continent. Later, he even became the sect master of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect, one of the top 10 sects of the Tian continent. Now, Ning Cheng gave her 2 top-quality accordance heavenly pills. Although it was incredible for most people, it might be something ordinary for Ning Cheng. Nalan Rushua had already reached the full circle of the heavens mandate realm for a long time. She just lacked the resources to advance. But now, with the help of the spiritual gathering array arranged by Ning Cheng using permanent essence pills and the accordance heavenly pills, she quickly attracted the thunder tribulation. Ning Cheng noticed that Nalan Rushua's heaven-seated thunder tribulation was much weaker compared to his heaven-seated thunder tribulation. But even so, after 5 waves of thunder tribulation arcs, Nalan Rushua's robes still fell apart. Ning Cheng didn't continue to watch Nalan Rushua surmount the tribulation. In this situation, Nalan Rushua should be able to safely cross the heaven-seated realm thunder tribulation. Nalan Rushua had never experienced such a carefree cultivation. Even when she was in the Thoughtless Academy, she didn't feel this carefree. Endless permanent essence pills essence chi gathered around her and quickly absorbed it. When she felt the celestial essence power in her body crazily overlay, and her spiritual consciousness expanded endlessly, she knew that she had successfully advanced to the heaven-seated realm. When the thunder tribulation dissipated, Nalan Rushua quickly cleaned herself and put on a clean set of clothes. Only then did she have time to check what Ning Cheng was doing. Seeing Ning Cheng in secluded cultivation in a temporary cave on the side, Nalan Rushua didn't disturb him and continued to consolidate her cultivation. There were too many permanent essence pills here, which made it the best place to consolidate her cultivation. When Nalan Rushua finished her tribulation and advanced to the heaven-seated realm, Ning Qing knew about it. However, Ning Qing didn't come out. He was already at the full circle of early-stage eternal realm. But after the meal at the S&C restaurant, he felt that he was about to break through to the middle-stage eternal realm. Now that he had 10,000 spirit crystals on him, coupled with the spiritual gathering array arranged by permanent essence pills, Ning Cheng's advancement to the middle stage eternal realm was almost a foregone conclusion. Feeling the surging celestial essence and his sea of consciousness, which had grown to another level, Ning Cheng felt very satisfied. Ning Cheng felt very satisfied in his heart. The higher one's cultivation went, even if it was just a small advancement, it would make a huge difference. Moreover, his celestial essence had yet to transform into spirit essence. Once it transformed, his cultivation would at least double. Ning Qing didn't plan to transform into spirit essence right now. He only had a few thousand spirit crystals on him, which definitely wouldn't be enough. His cultivation path was that of a glutton, and he would need a lot of spirit crystals to transform into spirit essence in the future. Therefore, it would be best to prepare all the cultivation resources and then transform them in one go. Seeing Ning Qing come out and put away the cave's weapon, Nalan Rushua quickly stood up. Congratulations on successfully advancing to the heaven-seated realm. Ning Qing saw Nalan Rushua coming over and spoke with a smile. Nalan Rushua didn't ask about Ning Cheng's cultivation. She felt sure that Ning Cheng's cultivation far surpassed hers. Many thanks, senior apprentice brother Ning. Otherwise, even if I wanted to advance to the heaven-seated realm, I wouldn't have done it this quickly. Nalan Rushua knew that it was all thanks to Ning Cheng that she could advance to the heaven-seated realm. You can put away the permanent essence pills here. Keep them for cultivation in the future. We've been here for 3 days, and Tao Xing and the others must be a little impatient. Ning Cheng nodded and said. Nalan Rushua's aptitude truly went without saying. Maybe his current cultivation aptitude was better than Nalan's, but it was because of the mysterious yellow beads scouring his spiritual root. Nalan Rushua, on the other hand, had innately powerful aptitude. Nalan Rushua didn't argue. She had just advanced to the heaven-seated realm and urgently needed permanent essence pills to stabilize her cultivation. Ning Cheng had used up some of the permanent essence pills to arrange the spiritual gathering array, but most of them were still here. Altogether, there were nearly 10 million of them. With so many permanent essence pills, it was more than enough for her to use for the time being. By the way, are the cultivators cultivating in this place all using spirit essence? Ning Cheng thought about the matter of spirit essence transformation and asked casually. Nalan Rushua froze for a moment before shaking her head and saying, No, I heard that only cultivators who have begun to reach the Tao-confirming realm can slowly transform their celestial essence into spirit essence. Could it be transformed only after reaching the Tao-confirming realm? Ning Cheng felt puzzled. If he had enough spirit crystals, he felt sure that he could transform his spirit essence now. And he was still far away from proving his Tao. Let's go. Let's head back to Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City first. Ning Cheng knew that Nalan Rushua wouldn't know about his problems. Therefore, he decided to leave these things for later. Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushua had just arrived at the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City when they saw the anxious Tao Xing and the others. Tao Xing was also the first to see Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushua. The anxiety on his face instantly disappeared, as he greeted them with an eager smile. Junior apprentice sister Rushua, junior apprentice brother Ning, I was anxious to find you. Are we going to the Scarlet Branch Island? Ning Cheng asked with a smile on his face. Yes, let's go now. There are a lot of cultivators going to Scarlet Branch Island these days, so we can't fall behind. Tao Xing rubbed his hands together. It seemed that as long as he went there, Scarlet Branch Island would be filled with wood origin crystals. Ning Cheng nodded, then let's go. Seeing that Ning Cheng did not have any objections, Tao Xing was naturally even happier. He took the initiative to bring out an airship, invited everyone to board the airship, and quickly rushed out of Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City. The Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City was built on an island, somewhat similar to the Mirage Gazing Island. However, compared to the mirage-gazing island, the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City was simply a continent. From the moment she saw Tao Xing and the others, Nalan Rushue had not spoken again. After she advanced to the heaven-seated realm, she could see that Tao Xing and the other two were really heaven-seated cultivators. "Hey, junior sister Rushue, have you advanced to the heaven-seated realm?" After the airship flew out of Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, Yuqing finally noticed that Nalan Rushue's cultivation had already reached the early stage heaven-seated realm. Nalan Rushue smiled reluctantly. "Yeah, I didn't expect senior apprentice brother Yuqing, senior apprentice brother Tao Xing, and senior apprentice sister Xian to already reach the heaven-seated realm." Tao Xing replied awkwardly, Yes, we were afraid that you would feel pressured, so we didn't tell you the specific cultivation level. Now, everyone is at the sky realm." Speaking till here, Tao Xing seemed to have thought of something, as he subconsciously looked at Ning Cheng. Nalan Rushue had always been at the late-stage Heaven's Mandate realm, so how could she advance to the heaven-seated realm as soon as she saw Ning Cheng? Could it be that this Ning Cheng's cultivation was higher than them, but they could not see through it? At the thought that Ning Cheng's cultivation was higher than theirs, Tao Xing's heart started to beat like a drum. He really couldn't determine Ning Cheng's cultivation. Senior apprentice brother Ning must also be in the heaven-seated realm, right? Li Xian apparently had the same thoughts as Tao Xing and even changed the way she addressed Ning Cheng to senior apprentice brother. Ning Cheng chuckled, "I'm not in the heaven-seated realm." Hearing Ning Cheng say that he wasn't in the heaven-seated realm, Tao Xing and the other two finally felt relieved. Although they did not fear Ning Cheng if he was in the heaven-seated realm, it would still make things a lot more troublesome. Chapter 848. The grade of Tao Xing's flying ship was not bad, it was even a semi-extreme grade Dao artifact. When Ning Cheng boarded the airship, he immediately stayed in the cabin and did not come out again. It seemed as if he did not care about where the airship was going. Nalan Rushue advanced to the heaven-seated realm, causing her strength to soar. However, in the face of Tao Xing and the other two, whose cultivation base was higher than hers, her heart was still beating like a drum. But as soon as she thought of Ning Cheng, she calmed down. Ning Cheng was very astute, moreover Tao Xing and the other two had higher cultivations compared to her, but it was Ning Cheng who proposed it, it was impossible for him to not think of the dangers involved. Therefore, while Ning Cheng went into seclusion in his cabin, she also stayed in her cabin to stabilize her cultivation. Since Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushue did not come out to ask, Tao Xing and the others naturally would not take the initiative to explain to Ning Cheng. That Ning Cheng is a bit strange. Don't look at him saying that he isn't in the heaven-seated realm. I'm sure that his cultivation is no worse than Brother Tao's. On the deck of the spaceship, Yuqing scanned the cabin and said solemnly to Tao Xing and Li Xian beside him. Tao Xing gave a cold smile, since Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushue are friends, then presumably his cultivation would not be much higher than Nalan Rushue's. Even if he lied, he is still a heaven-seated cultivator, the three of us do not need to fear him. As long as Nalan Rushue opens the array formation, wouldn't the three of us be able to beat him? If we plot against him again, I don't believe he's that strong. Brother Yu doesn't need to worry about him at all. Yuqing and Li Xian also nodded. Tao Xing was right. Even if Ning Cheng was a late-stage heaven-seated cultivator, the three of them didn't need to feel afraid. As for Ning Cheng being a life-and-death cultivator, they did not even think about it. Was it that easy to enter the life-and-death realm? Not to mention that Ning Cheng didn't even have spirit crystals on him, he even had to exchange a pot of top-grade wine for some spirit crystals. Even if Ning Cheng had spirit crystals, with Ning Cheng's young age, he definitely wouldn't be a cultivator in the life-and-death realm. Li Xian sighed. If I had known, we would have gotten someone else. Yuqing said in a deep voice, it's not realistic to change people. We've been looking for a virgin with water spiritual roots for 2 years. Nalan Rushue's variant pure ice spiritual root was much better than her water spiritual root. Moreover, she was still a virgin. If those big sects in the Grand Essence realm saw someone like her, they would definitely take her in as a disciple. Tao Xing snorted. He was just about to say that the female cultivators nowadays simply didn't have any self-respect. He couldn't even find a single virgin. However, when he thought that Li Xian was not a virgin, he forcefully swallowed his words. The flying ship sped across the sea. Because it was traveling along the fringes, it did not encounter any powerful sea demons. It wasn't until half a month later that Naylan Rushue couldn't bear it anymore. She walked up to the deck and asked, "Senior apprentice Sister Xian, I feel that this position doesn't seem to be in the direction of Scarlet Branch Island. Moreover, Scarlet Branch Island isn't that far away." Not waiting for Li Xian to answer, Tao Xing came over and spoke up, "Junior apprentice Sister Rushue, I can tell you the truth now. In fact, we are not going to Scarlet Branch Island, but to another island. There is definitely a wood origin crystal there. The only reason I told you about Scarlet Branch Island was because I was afraid that too many people would spread it. Junior Sister Rushue, don't worry. When the time comes, we will split the things we get into 4, no, 5, 1 for each of us." Naylan Rushue nodded, "I know, I'll go see senior apprentice brother Ning." She knew that if Ning Cheng hadn't suddenly appeared in Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, she would have ended up being sold. She would have had to help those people collect crystals. Naylan Rushue stood outside Ning Cheng's door for a while but didn't disturb Ning Cheng. Instead, she returned to her room. A few more days passed, and the flying ship shuddered before stopping on a huge reef island. "Junior apprentice brother Ning, compared to you, the few of us are much lazier." Seeing Ning Cheng come out, Tao Xing laughed. Ning Cheng didn't answer Tao Xing's words. Instead, he swept out with his spiritual consciousness. Not only was this reef island lacking in spiritual qi, but it didn't even have a single blade of grass. Ning Cheng found it hard to believe that there were wood origin crystals here. "Senior apprentice brother Tao, the heaven and earth essence qi here seems to be very scarce. How can there be wood origin crystals here?" Naylan Rushue asked. "Fortunately, the wood origin crystals are well hidden. Otherwise, people would have found them a long time ago. In fact, when the few of us first arrived here, we had the same idea as you. Follow me first, and you'll know when we reach the place." After Tao Xing finished, he put away his flight-type weapon and walked into the depths of the reef island. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the reef island several times but couldn't find any abnormalities. He couldn't understand why Tao Xing brought Naylan Rushue here. Since he couldn't understand it, he could only follow Tao Xing's trio. After an incense stick worth of time, Tao Xing stopped at a reef crevice. This kind of reef crevice was common on any reef island, and it didn't look like much at all. When Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out just now, he had also swept through this place and found nothing unusual. However, Tao Xing pointed to this reef crevice and said, "It's here. Just go in." After saying that, Tao Xing took the lead and went in, followed by Yu Cheng and Li Xian. Ning Cheng turned back to Naylan Rushue and said, "Follow me closely." After that, Ning Cheng also went in. After entering the reef crevice, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness suddenly opened up. He could see everything that he couldn't see from the outside. A neat stone road paved all the way to the depths, and his spiritual consciousness couldn't even sweep to the bottom. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath. What a powerful concealment array. Even with his spiritual consciousness's strong penetrative power, he had to drill into the reef crevice to see what was inside. Moreover, after coming in, his spiritual consciousness also felt restricted to a certain range. Naylan Rushue also saw the things around her and followed Ning Cheng with some nervousness. Half an hour later, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness finally opened up. A huge defensive array appeared in front of him, but what surprised Ning Cheng was that there were people below. 2 middle-stage eternal cultivators stood in front of this defensive array, and a naked female cultivator lay on top of the defensive array. This female cultivator had died a long time ago, and her entire body was pale. Moreover, blood still flowed over the defensive array. A few more ants. The eternal cultivator wearing the strange hat also saw Ning Cheng's group of 5. Tao Xing, Yu Cheng and the others also saw people here, and their faces immediately turned pale. Judging from the pressure coming from the two people below, Ning Cheng understood that they were eternal cultivators. You. How did you know about this place? Tao Xing asked with a dry voice. The eternal cultivator wearing the strange hat glanced at Tao Xing with a cold gaze before his eyes fell on Nalan Rishue behind Ning Cheng. Then he laughed and said to the other short cultivator next to him, Brother Mu, this really takes a lot of effort. The woman we found for the sacrificial array has poor spiritual roots. Even after the sacrificial array, she still needs a little bit more to open the defensive array. But now, a few ants took the initiative to send such a beautiful woman to help us with the sacrificial array. The short eternal cultivator also saw Nalan Rishue, and his eyes even flashed red. After a while, he licked his lips and said, Good, this woman is too beautiful. After the sacrificial array, it would be best to save her life. No matter how beautiful she is, if she dies, I would lose a lot of interest in her. Nalan Rishue's face also turned pale. She finally understood why Tao Xing and the others wanted to team up with her. It turned out that they wanted to use her virgin blood as a sacrificial array. Only after the sacrificial array could they open the defensive array. Senior, we will give this woman to Senior. Tao Xing spoke with a trembling voice. However, he only felt regret in his heart. He didn't expect that they weren't the only ones who knew about this place. Get lost. The short winter melon slapped the void. Slap, Tao Xing slammed into the edge of the reef. The bones in his body started to melt, and he fell to the ground like a pool of mercury. His eyes filled with horror, and he struggled to gasp for breath. However, he didn't die for a while. Soft Bones Spirit Technique, you are Senior Gu Hui. Yu Cheng also stuttered. From his trembling body, one could see the fear in his heart. Ning Cheng secretly found it funny. Soft Bones Spirit Technique sounded scary, but what use was this spirit technique? Transforming bones soft palm. Why didn't this fellow become a eunuch? Slap. With another slap, Yu Cheng also turned into a pool of boneless flesh and collapsed beside Tao Xing. You come here. The short wintermelon's gaze fell on Li Xian. Li Xian, who followed Yu Cheng, was even more frightened. When she saw the short wintermelon looking at her, she struggled to walk over and spoke, Senior Gu, I can serve Senior. As she spoke, she quickly took off her clothes. In the face of death, shame and self-esteem were simply worthless. She had heard this short wintermelon say that he was interested in women, which made her feel a glimmer of hope. A broken shoe dares to ask for my favor, get lost. This time, the short wintermelon did not start, but kicked Li Xian's body. Li Xian spat out a mouthful of blood as she hit the defensive array and died on the spot. It's your turn. The short wintermelon's gaze fell on Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng did not go over, but looked at Tao Xing, who was still alive on the ground, and asked, How did you know about this place? Tao Xing didn't even bother to answer Ning Cheng's words, as he was already dead. Ning Cheng raised his hand and grasped at the void, and Tao Xing's ring fell into his hand. Soon, he found a locational jade strip from Tao Xing's ring. The jade strip surprisingly pointed to this place and even introduced the location of the wood origin crystal. Seeing Ning Cheng not even bothering to pay attention to him and even taking Tao Xing's ring, the short wintermelon's expression changed. But not waiting for him to speak, Ning Cheng came over and spoke, Shorty, show me your map. You're courting death. The short wintermelon had just spoken these 3 words when an overwhelming aura of a powerhouse descended. The short wintermelon's domain did not have any effect at all and directly melted away. The eternal level powerhouse wearing the strange hat wanted to help, but Ning Cheng's powerful domain suppressed him and made him unable to move at all. The next moment, a majestic fist intent Dao charm blasted over. Bang! The naked killing intent slammed into the short wintermelon's dantian, and the short wintermelon directly flew up and fell beside Tao Xing and Yu Cheng. Just like Tao Xing, when the short wintermelon fell, he also turned into a pile of boneless flesh. A ring fell into Ning Cheng's hand, and the short wintermelon heard Ning Cheng's words, "What's the use of soft bones? I don't know what soft bones are, but I can still melt your bones with a single punch." Chapter 849. Tao Xing and Yu Qing, on seeing Ning Qing destroy the powerful Gu Hui with just a raise of his hand, felt completely sluggish. They wanted to bring such a powerhouse to this place as a sacrifice to the array. From this, they could imagine that even if they didn't meet these two eternal cultivators, they would have already died if they came to this place. Naylan Rushua knew that Ning Cheng's cultivation definitely surpassed hers, but she didn't expect Ning Cheng to be this powerful. Killing an eternal powerhouse with a single slap, it showed that Ning Cheng was also in the eternal realm. Senior. The middle-stage eternal male cultivator wearing a strange hat felt his teeth chattering. He didn't even blink when killing others, but he didn't want to die. Ning Cheng didn't have any thoughts of sparing this fellow and once again sent out an axe fist. Under Ning Cheng's suppressive domain, the axe intent directly tore apart the middle-stage eternal cultivator who wanted to live. Ning Cheng raised his hand and threw out a few fireballs. In just a few breaths, only he and Naylan Rushua remained in front of the defensive array. As for the rest of the cultivators, whether they died or not, Ning Cheng's fireballs turned them into nothingness. Senior apprentice brother Ning. Naylan Rushua spoke with a surprised tone. Ning Cheng really didn't let her down. He truly was powerful. "I'm going to start breaking the array now, and I'll need your help later," Ning Cheng said to Naylan Rushua. Naylan Rushua nodded, "Okay, I'll definitely do my best to help." Ning Cheng pointed to the defensive array in front of him. "I'll first arrange an offensive array formation for this array formation. Then, I'll use the offensive array formation to blast open a small gap. Only then can I ask you to help me break the array. This defensive array is an attributed defensive array, and a fire-attributed defensive array at that. When I want to break the array, I'll need your essence blood." Naylan Rushua couldn't help but shudder. She immediately thought of the naked female cultivator from before, as well as the drops of blood that dripped into the array. She didn't know anything about array formations, but she knew that breaking the array with the help of essence blood was equivalent to sacrificing the array. Just like what Tao Xing and the others said before, and what she saw with her own eyes. They wanted her to strip naked, lie on the defensive array, and let the defensive array absorb her essence blood. Once she did this, she would never have a chance to come down from the defensive array. In other words, she would have to bleed her essence blood dry. She stared at Ning Cheng in disbelief. The Ning Cheng in front of her felt very strange. This was completely different from the Ning Cheng in her memory. In any case, she and Ning Cheng were once acquaintances, so why would he treat her like this? Ning Cheng did not seem to care about the changes in Naylan Rushua at all. After he finished speaking, he began to bring out array flags. One after another array flags were thrown out by Ning Cheng. "Senior brother Ning, do I have to strip naked and use my essence blood for the array?" Naylan Rushua couldn't help but ask. Ning Cheng didn't even look and spoke in with a calm tone. "Rushua of Cheng didn't." Cheng said, "Don't." "I said." Cheng's Chen, Cheng, I Cheng, I said, I, of the Xing. After, I finish, I will, I still, I will give you of cultivation resources. As he spoke, the array flags in his hands continued to fall down. "Just take it that I owe you back then, and I'll pay you back today." Ning Cheng threw out the last array flag and spoke with joy in his eyes. "Thank you, junior apprentice Sister Rushua. Come to this place and start taking off your clothes. I'll attack from the side and coordinate with your sacrificial array." After Ning Cheng finished, he also brought out the celestial rainbow purgatory spear and pointed it in a certain direction. Naylan Rushua walked to the place Ning Cheng pointed at with a blank expression and slowly took off her outer skirt. Just as Naylan Rushua took off the first piece of clothing, Ning Cheng suddenly dropped an array flag and took a step forward. The celestial rainbow purgatory spear in his hand also rolled up endless void spear intent and shot towards one side of the defensive array. Swish swish. The killing array around Ning Cheng surged with endless killing lights. These killing lights formed a murderous aura that followed Ning Cheng's celestial rainbow purgatory spear. It directly broke through the surrounding space and slammed into a nearby reef wall. Boom boom boom. Terrifying essence chi erupted, and it felt as if one void black hole after another had appeared around them. These void black holes contained endless killing intent. The killing intent from the black holes and the killing lights from Ning Cheng's killing array clashed together, and the killing intent filled the sky. The sluggish Nalan Rushua stared at the crazed Ning Cheng. She couldn't understand what Ning Cheng was doing. However, she knew that the place she was in was safe, and the killing array didn't pose a threat to her. Bang! With a muffled sound, Ning Cheng's entire body suddenly flew upside down. He opened his mouth and spat out an arrow of blood. What a cunning thing! You actually arranged a trap and kill array to divert this old man's attention. With this voice, a black-skinned man suddenly appeared in the middle of Ning Cheng's trap and kill array. The blade lights and flames from the trap and kill array fell on his body, but they didn't seem to hurt him at all. However, Ning Cheng's celestial rainbow purgatory spear nailed the man's throat, and black blood slowly slid down the spear's handle. Die for me. The man raised his hand and grabbed at Ning Cheng. As the man grabbed, the space in front of Ning Cheng seemed to have disappeared. Ning Cheng forcibly grabbed Nalan Rushua and retreated. Ning Cheng quickly discovered that no matter how far he retreated, he couldn't move forward. The space around him had solidified. Rip. With a tearing sound, Ning Cheng's upper robes tore off, and 5 deep bloody wounds appeared on his chest. An oppressive force slammed into Ning Cheng's chest, and Ning Cheng couldn't help but spit out another mouthful of blood. While feeling horrified, he frantically condensed a time wheel and blasted it out. It turned out to be a powerful body-forging cultivator. Moreover, he also knew a spirit technique related to the laws of time. Bang bang bang. The time wheel slammed into the naked man's body and splashed out a bloody mist. However, this naked man's vitality didn't seem to weaken at all. With another bang, Ning Cheng's surroundings lightened, and he could finally retreat. At the same time, he slammed into the opposite reef. After smashing the reef into pieces, his body also came to a stop. Ning Cheng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and put down Nalan Rushua. At the same time, he also saw the dark-skinned man opposite him. This man was locked in an array formation within the stone wall by 2 chains, which meant that he couldn't rush up to deal with Ning Cheng. The bloody wounds caused by the time wheel and the celestial rainbow purgatory spear stuck in his throat looked terrifying. But Ning Cheng knew that this person's strength still exceeded his own. Senior apprentice brother Ning. Nalan Rushua finally understood that Ning Cheng had long known about this powerhouse. He had asked her to use the sacrificial array to buy time to arrange the killing array. She suddenly felt a little ashamed. She had doubted Ning Cheng once again. Put on your clothes. This person is very strong. Ning Cheng's gaze remained fixed on the naked man. Even if this person was locked by the array formation chains, he would have to use the 5-colored star splitter arrow to kill him. If he hadn't used his spear to kill this fellow first, he would have died in this fellow's hands in a single exchange. The naked man raised his hand and pulled out the celestial rainbow purgatory spear. But as soon as he exerted some force, the celestial rainbow purgatory spear, which hadn't accompanied Ning Cheng for long, broke in half. You're very treacherous, but it's not easy to survive from my hands. Tell me, how did you find me? I'm sure that even if a Dao sculpting powerhouse came here, they wouldn't be able to find me. The naked man stared at Ning Cheng and asked in a cold voice. He didn't even try to stop the bleeding from his throat. This question really puzzled him. Ning Cheng was just an eternal cultivator. How could he find his hiding place? You should also answer my question. Who locked your chains? Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness locked onto the 5-colored star splitter arrow and asked in a calm tone. He also felt worried. If there was a cultivator stronger than this fellow spying on him, even if he killed this fellow, someone else would kill him. The naked man seemed to know what Ning Cheng was worried about and spoke up with disdain. Who else can chain me apart from myself? Even if I'm locked by myself, it would be easy to kill an ant like you. Since there's a sacrificial array woman here, even if you don't answer my question, I can still search your soul. After the naked man finished speaking, the chains on his body fell off automatically. At the same time, the surrounding space trembled again. Ning Cheng didn't even think about it and directly brought out the 5-colored star splitter arrow. A majestic killing intent suddenly burst out. Even the killing power condensed around the naked man's body was swept away by a black arrow that appeared out of thin air. The surrounding space turned desolate, and a grayish death aura filled the air. This death aura grew thicker and thicker before finally condensing into a single point. The entire space seemed to have disappeared at this moment, leaving behind only a single arrow, a pitch-black arrow. As the killing intent grew thicker and the death aura grew thicker, the 5-colored bow beneath the pitch-black arrow finally became clear. Ning Cheng's face turned pale, and his body trembled. But his eyes remained calm. Even if he advanced to the middle stage Eternal Realm, the 5-colored star splitter arrow's suction power still reached a terrifying level. 5-colored star splitter. The naked man's eyes showed a hint of despair. If Ning Cheng hadn't plotted against him, he might have been able to escape in time before the 5-colored star splitter arrow's aura swept over him. But now, he could only wait for the arrow to reach him, locked in place by this violent and majestic killing intent. Never before had he felt more despair than now. He had attracted many female cultivators with water-type spiritual roots, but he never expected to attract a cultivator with a 5-colored star splitter arrow today. If he knew this would happen, he would have rather spent thousands of years than take this risk. Space compressed, and his essence blood burned. The 5-colored star splitter arrow's killing intent continued to condense. Apart from despair, the naked man's eyes only showed silence. It wasn't that he didn't want to beg for mercy, but he knew that the 5-colored star splitter arrow had reached such a level that even the cultivator who brought out the 5-colored star splitter arrow couldn't control it. Even Nailan Rushue, who hid behind Ning Cheng, felt frightened. The grayish death aura made her feel fear. She watched as Ning Cheng's hair gradually turned gray, but she couldn't do anything about it. Swish! The black arrow finally cut through space and shot out with an endless grayish death aura. The naked man closed his eyes, and the terrifying death aura finally ended. Chapter 850. Bang! With a dull explosion, the 5-colored star splitter arrow tore the naked man apart. At the same time, Ning Cheng's array formation strangled his essence spirit. The moment the 5-colored star splitter arrow disappeared from Ning Cheng's wrist, Ning Cheng grabbed a ring. But before Ning Cheng could crack the restrictions on the naked man's ring, the restrictions on the ring started to shatter. Ning Cheng, with his fastest speed, threw the contents of the ring into his own ring. However, just as he was about to transfer the contents of the ring directly collapsed. Ning Cheng breathed out a sigh of relief. Compared to the first time he killed Hong Luan, this situation was much better. Nailan Rushue reacted at this moment and quickly stepped forward to support Ning Cheng, who was staggering. "Senior apprentice brother Ning, are you okay?" Ning Cheng waved his hand and said weakly, "This is not a place to stay for a long time. Hurry up and enter the array." Nailan Rushue found that the defensive array, which required a sacrificial array to break before, had already cracked under Ning Cheng's arrow. A rich wood origin aura spread out, and Nailan Rushue quickly helped Ning Cheng into the defensive array. Ning Cheng threw out some array flags and sealed the aura outside the defensive array. At the same time, he also temporarily concealed this place. "What a rich wood origin aura!" Nailan Rushue exclaimed. Unfortunately, she didn't have a wood-attributed spiritual root. If she had a wood-attributed spiritual root, cultivating in this place would produce at least dozens of times better results compared to the outside. Ning Cheng also felt shocked by the wood origin aura in front of him. To be precise, this place was a reef beach. These reefs had wood origin crystals inlaid on them, some big and some small. These reefs couldn't produce wood origin crystals. The only possibility was that the origin crystals here had evolved over countless years. The underworld crow ghost Rattan King bounced on Ning Cheng's wrist. Ning Cheng shook his hand and said, "Go devour these wood origin crystals. Remember to collect all of them for me." After saying that, Ning Cheng called out Chasing Bull again, "You also go collect the wood origin crystals. I need to heal." Seeing a thick rattan stretching out endlessly, this rattan wrapped around the surrounding reefs and quickly absorbed the wood origin crystals inside. Nalan Rushua immediately understood that this rattan was Ning Cheng's pet. Moreover, she also knew about this rattan. It seemed to be an underworld crow ghost rattan. As for Chasing Bull, she didn't care about it. The value of an underworld crow ghost rattan definitely surpassed that of an ordinary demonic bull. Ning Cheng put his hand down from Nalan Rushua's body. "Junior apprentice Sister Rushua, you should also go collect the wood origin crystals. I want to heal myself." This place was filled with the aura of the wood origin. It was the most suitable place to recuperate. Feeling that Ning Cheng had consumed too much energy, Nalan Rushua didn't refuse. She helped Ning Cheng to a place rich in wood origin crystals and started digging for wood origin crystals on the reef beach. A month later, Ning Cheng stood up with a long sigh of relief. His injuries were completely healed. Although his hair was still gray, it would gradually recover as he continued to cultivate. Regarding this matter, Ning Cheng naturally would not continue to use the Glimmer of Dawn Ice essence. "Master, the wood origin crystals are all here." As soon as Ning Cheng stood up, Chasing Bull came to Ning Cheng and handed him a ring. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through it and found thousands of wood origin crystals inside. Without waiting for Ning Cheng to ask, Chasing Bull quickly said, "The little wooden rattan and that little girl's wood origin crystals are also here." The little wooden rattan went out to surmount the tribulation. That little girl said that she wanted to help protect it, but I guess she went out to watch the fun. "I'm loyal to Master and don't dare to take a step away." Ning Cheng had already discovered that the underworld crow ghost rattan and Nalan Rushua weren't here. Moreover, the wood origin crystals inside had almost been consumed, and only a few stars remained. Ning Cheng ignored the underworld crow ghost rattan. But with a burst of thunder coming from outside, Ning Cheng understood that the underworld crow ghost rattan had indeed gone out to surmount the tribulation. But he didn't go out immediately. Instead, he sorted out all the rings. Excluding some low-grade and middle-grade spirit crystals, there were more than 10 million high-grade spirit crystals. These high-grade spirit crystals mainly came from the dark-skinned naked male cultivator. When Ning Cheng came out of the reef gap with Chasing Bull, the underworld crow ghost Rattan King had already finished surmounting the tribulation and successfully advanced to a starry sky grade 8 demonic Rattan. As long as the underworld crow ghost Rattan King had enough wood origin crystals to devour, it would only be a matter of time before it advanced to a grade 9 demonic Rattan. "Senior apprentice Brother Ning, have you recovered from your injuries?" Nalan Rushua saw Ning Cheng coming out and walked over with a hint of excitement. She naturally understood the value of wood origin crystals, and she had obtained hundreds of wood origin crystals below. Although she gave most of them to Chasing Bull, she still had about 40 to 50 of them. Ning Cheng took out a ring and handed it to Nalan Rushua. "There are some wood origin crystals in here. You can keep some." Nalan Rushua quickly declined. "Senior apprentice Brother Ning, I still have dozens of them on me. I don't have much use for them." Ning Cheng, on hearing Nalan Rushua leave behind some wood origin crystals, didn't continue to be polite. Wood origin crystals were very important to him. Not only did he need them for alchemy, but he also needed them for the advancement of the underworld crow ghost Rattan King. After taking out the wood origin crystals from the ring, he handed the ring to Nalan Rushua and said, "There are 3 million spirit crystals in here, along with some weapons and medicinal pills. I've kept a lot for myself. You can have them." Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Nalan Rushua didn't continue to refuse and put away the ring. After advancing, the underworld crow ghost Rattan King turned into a black light and disappeared from Ning Cheng's wrist. The underworld crow ghost Rattan King had just advanced and needed to consolidate its cultivation. Seeing Ning Cheng bring out a flight-type weapon, Chasing Bull pitifully called out, "Master, let me help you drive the weapon. Ning Qing knew that this fellow didn't want to stay in the true spirit world at all. Therefore, he gave the airship to Chasing Bull to control. Senior apprentice brother Ning, did you see that person hiding from the beginning? After the airship took off, Nalan Rushua finally couldn't help but ask. Ning Qing shook his head, no, but I saw that the map Jade Strip Tao Xing obtained was the same as the map Jade Strip Gu Hui obtained. I guessed that someone had deliberately set it up. The person who set it up definitely didn't want to find a cultivator like Tao Xing, but a virgin female cultivator with a water-attributed spiritual root. Since this person released the map and deliberately looked for female cultivators to use as sacrificial arrays, he would have to pay attention to the fire-attributed defensive array at all times. Moreover, staying here would make it harder to be discovered than using one's spiritual consciousness. Moreover, it would also make it easier for one to control temporary situations. Moreover, I used my spiritual consciousness to look around but didn't find anything suspicious. I knew that if someone stayed in there, that person's cultivation would definitely be much higher than mine. If I wanted to make a move, I would have to take him by surprise. I asked you to use the sacrificial array to focus that fellow's attention on you and also to help arrange a trap and kill array. I'm sorry. No, senior apprentice brother Ning, I'm sorry. I thought you really wanted to use me as a sacrificial array, which made me feel very disappointed. But, senior apprentice brother Ning, how did you know where that person was hiding? Nalan Rushua felt very excited at this moment. She felt that after this incident, the misunderstanding between her and Ning Qing had dissipated a lot. Ning Qing sighed, I don't know. It was just a bet. I was thinking about where I would hide if it were me. This position not only has the best visual effect but also allows me to control everything at any time. I chose a position, and I guessed that if someone was hiding here, they would have chosen the same place as me. It's just that I didn't expect that fellow to be so powerful. If I didn't have a trump card, he would have killed me. When Nalan Rushua heard this, she felt a little scared. In case Ning Qing made a mistake, she wouldn't be able to escape the sacrificial array. Thinking of this, Nalan Rushua suddenly felt a little stunned. Ning Qing wanted to use her as a sacrificial array. At that time, she only felt a sense of loss and sadness, but not fear. But thinking that the fellow Ning Qing killed wanted to use her as a sacrificial array, she felt a little scared. Ning Qing didn't say anything more. The only thing he wondered about was why that naked male cultivator wanted to lock himself up. Was it to cultivate a cultivation method or for some other reason? After the airship returned to the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City, Ning Qing and Nalan Rushua didn't even go to the cave. Instead, they paid 20,000 spirit crystals on the public square and waited for the airship to head to the teleportation array group. As for Chasing Bull, Ning Qing sent it into the true spirit world again. According to the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City's airship and the teleportation array's rules, as long as one didn't release their companion beasts, they wouldn't receive any spirit crystals. However, people couldn't be sent into a special space. Once found out, not only would they lose their cultivation, but they would also be expelled. Moreover, all their belongings would also be confiscated. In fact, if a cultivator's cultivation was abolished, it was equivalent to losing their life. It didn't matter whether they collected their belongings or not. Ning Qing and Nalan Rushua had just sat down when two people came over. The one in front was a middle-aged male cultivator, and the one behind was a tall young man with a graceful bearing. However, the young man in the back had a higher cultivation than the middle-aged male cultivator in front of him. He was already at the late-stage eternal realm. Seeing the middle-aged male cultivator walking in front, Ning Qing frowned slightly. He knew why this person came looking for him. The middle-aged male cultivator in front was the shopkeeper of the Essence Sea restaurant. Ning Qing had sold him a pot of none to depend on wine in the Essence Sea restaurant, and now this person had come looking for him. Hello, friend. We meet again. The middle-aged shopkeeper cupped his hands towards Ning Qing and spoke with enthusiasm. Brother Hong, is this your friend? The young man walking behind the middle-aged shopkeeper asked with a smile. The middle-aged shopkeeper quickly replied, "Yes, young Master Min. This is the friend who sold it to me." The young man nodded, "Many thanks, Brother Hong." The middle-aged shopkeeper took the opportunity and said, "Young Master Min, I still have something to do in the restaurant, so I'll be taking my leave first." After that, he nodded to Ning Cheng before turning around and leaving quickly. The young man gave Ning Cheng a polite greeting and spoke up in a graceful manner, "My name is Qi Zimin, and I'm from the Grand Essence Domain." Ning Cheng, rogue cultivator. If Brother Qi came looking for me to ask about the wine, then I'm afraid that I would have to disappoint Brother Qi. It was a gift from a friend of mine, and I only have one pot of it. Ning Cheng immediately blocked Qi Zimin's words. "It's not entirely about the wine. I'm also going to the Grand Essence Ruins, and Brother Ning will be going the same way." After Qi Zimin finished, he took the initiative to pay 10,000 spirit crystals and bought a jade talisman for an airship. Chapter 851. May I know how to address this junior sister? After purchasing the jade talisman, Qi Zimin enthusiastically sat down beside Ning Cheng and took the initiative to talk to Nalan Rushua. Nalan Rushua stood up, bowed slightly and spoke. Nalan Rushua is also a rogue cultivator. This junior apprentice sister is the same as Brother Ning. Being able to cultivate to this point as a rogue cultivator shows that she is a peerless genius. As long as you reach the Grand Essence Domain, there would definitely be a lot of sects and forces that would want to recruit you. Qi Zimin was a very talkative person. Even if Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushua didn't speak much, he could still find topics to talk about. Moreover, all kinds of allusions came out of his mouth, and all of them were wonderful. In the end, he was even surrounded by many cultivators listening to the lecture. Ning Cheng also learned a lot of things from Qi Zimin. For example, the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City was the worst place in the Grand Essence Realm. The Grand Essence Realm's true law cultivation Holy Land was the Grand Essence Domain. Moreover, the Grand Essence Domain had countless top-grade sections. However, ordinary cultivators couldn't enter the Grand Essence Domain. Cultivators with low cultivation didn't even have the qualifications to enter. However, experts from the Grand Essence Domain often look for disciples with good qualifications outside the Grand Essence Domain. Once selected by the sects in the Grand Essence Domain, they would be able to enter the Grand Essence Domain. Although the Grand Essence Ruins lay outside the Grand Essence Domain, it was a peculiar existence. Because even the powerhouses of the Grand Essence Domain couldn't fathom the size of the Grand Essence Ruins. Many of the Grand Essence Domain sects would search for disciples in the Grand Essence Ruins and trade in the Grand Essence Ruins. One could say that the most prosperous place in the Grand Essence Realm, apart from the Grand Essence Domain, was the edge of the Grand Essence Ruins. "Senior Ji, do we have to join an alliance to enter the Grand Essence Ruins?" Someone next to him asked carefully. Qi Zimin chuckled. Of course, joining an alliance is a must. There were many alliances in the Grand Essence Ruins. The stronger ones included the Tao Confirming Alliance, the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, the Sword Mausoleum, the Spirit Thunder Alliance and so on. Of course, it was impossible for most cultivators to join these alliances. If you don't have any ability, they won't want you. "What if we don't join?" someone else asked. There are also those who don't join the alliance. But after these rogue cultivators enter the Grand Essence Ruins, very few can come out. Even if they came out, they would choose to join an alliance immediately. Because it would be very difficult to get points in the Grand Essence Ruins alone, and one might even lose their life in the process. Without points, you can't exchange for treasures in the Grand Essence Ruins quest hall. Qi Zimin was not only a talkative person, but also a kind person. He would answer anyone's questions in detail. "There's a quest hall in the Grand Essence Ruins?" Someone in the crowd asked in surprise. This time, before Qi Zimin could reply, someone answered for him. "Of course, I've heard of this quest hall. It was said that it was jointly established by some sects in the Grand Essence Domain and many chambers of commerce. Anyone could post or accept quests here. Those who completed quests would receive a certain amount of points, which could be used to exchange for various treasures in the quest hall. As long as you have enough points, you can get the treasures you want. That good? If I want a Dao fruit, can I exchange it here? Qi Zimin said, of course. It's not easy to get points for a Dao fruit. Some people could complete missions for thousands of years, but they still might not be able to exchange for a single Dao fruit. Actually, other than exchanging for treasures, there's another important use for the points in the quest hall. What is it? Without waiting for Qi Zimin to say anything, someone asked eagerly. Qi Zimin calmly replied, that is, you have the qualifications to enter the Grand Essence domain. Some sects in the Grand Essence domain also select disciples from the Grand Essence Ruin scoreboard. I can't get a Dao fruit even after thousands of years. Alas, I don't know if I chose to go to the Grand Essence Ruins. Not necessarily. If you find the Grand Essence Spirit Lightning Spirit Technique in the Grand Essence Ruins, you can probably exchange it for a basket full of Dao fruits. Stop dreaming, Grand Essence Spirit Lightning, hee hee. While everyone was still talking about it, a huge airship landed not far away. The cultivator who issued the jade card spoke up in a clear voice, the airship to the teleportation array group is here. Everyone, get on board and choose your room according to the jade card number. Ning Cheng's room number was 121, while Nalan Rishua's room number was 122. Not long after Ning Cheng entered the room, Qi Zimin came looking for him. Brother Ning, I took the liberty to come here. Please forgive me. As soon as Qi Zimin entered Ning Cheng's room, he cupped his fists and asked for forgiveness with a smile. Ning Cheng secretly sighed. This Qi Zimin truly deserved to be someone who ran around outside. Most likely, the purpose of those illusions was for this moment. In fact, his method wasn't wrong. If it weren't for him talking about illusions and answering everyone's questions, leaving a good impression on Ning Cheng wouldn't have even bothered to let him in. Brother Ning should already know why I came here. I know that Brother Ning wouldn't lie to me. There is indeed only one pot of none to depend on. But I still want to know where Brother Ning got that pot of none to depend on. Although Qi Zimin's cultivation was higher than Ning Cheng's, he still kept his posture low and spoke in a polite tone. Ning Cheng pondered for a moment before speaking, I got this none to depend on from a person named Mo Wang. I don't know where Mo Wang went. There was no need to hide it. For Ning Cheng, his none to depend on truly came from Mo Wang. Mo Wang was a descendant of the Mo clan. Moreover, under his leadership, Ning Cheng could find none to depend on. Sure enough, it's the Mo clan. Qi Zimin's eyes flashed with a hint of excitement, and then he asked with even more eagerness, Brother Ning, I have two more things to ask you. When you obtained none to depend on, did you know the brewing method of none to depend on? Have you ever heard of a spirit technique called none to depend on? Ning Cheng frowned slightly, I've heard of it, but you should ask the people from the Mo clan about it. I'm afraid it won't be of much use if you ask me. Ning Cheng had not only heard of it, but he also had the none to depend on spirit technique and the brewing method of none to depend on. The reason why he said those words was that he didn't have the slightest intention of taking out these two things. Qi Zimin grew even more excited, Brother Ning, can you find Dao friend Mo Wang? This. Ning Cheng hesitated, I can't guarantee that I can find him. We can only try our luck. The reason why Ning Cheng didn't refuse was that he wanted to know what price Qi Zimin would pay for the brewing method of none to depend on. The brewing method of none to depend on and the none to depend on spirit technique were interdependent. If one didn't know the none to depend on spirit technique, it would be useless even if one knew the brewing method. Qi Zimin took out a jade card and said to Ning Cheng with a cautious expression, Brother Ning, if you can find these two things in the future, even if you only know some clues. Take this jade card and enter my Qi clan in the Grand Essence domain. I promise that my Qi clan can satisfy any one of your requests. Okay, I'll keep it in mind. Ning Cheng took the jade card and couldn't help but marvel at Qi Zimin's big tone. He even said that he could satisfy any one of his requests. Does your Qi clan also have breath soil? Qi Zimin stood up, I won't bother Brother Ning anymore. If Brother Ning needs any help in the future, you can come to me, Qi Zimin. Chi Zimin had given him the jade card for the none to depend on pill, not for him to ask for help from others. Brother Chi, do you have a jade strip with an introduction to the Grand Essence ruins? Ning Cheng also stood up. Chi Zimin had already taken out a jade strip and handed it to Ning Cheng with a smile. I originally intended to give this jade strip to Brother Ning. Brother Ning can take a look at it. It will take a few days to reach the teleportation array group from here. After saying that, Chi Zimin quickly walked out of Ning Cheng's room. Ning Cheng waited for Chi Zimin to leave before raising his hand and quickly activating the restrictions. His spiritual consciousness then swept into the introduction jade strip. Half an hour later, Ning Cheng put away the jade strip. The Grand Essence ruins was vast and boundless, countless times larger than the Grand Essence domain. A long time ago, the supreme powerhouses of the 5 Grand Realms broke out in a heaven-shaking war for some unknown reason. As one of the 5 Grand Realms, the Grand Essence realm couldn't avoid it. During the war, the laws of the 5 Grand Realms began to collapse. Moreover, when the good fortune treasures of several powerhouses shattered, these supreme powerhouses also realized the terrible consequences. If they continued to fight, even the 5 supreme planes of the 5 Grand Realms would collapse completely. Moreover, a planar boundary with collapsed laws wouldn't be stable. If even the 5 Grand Realms collapsed, even if they won, they would lose their foundation. But even so, it was still too late. Because the Grand Change Realm was protected by the premier treasure of heaven and earth, it became the only place with complete laws within the 5 Grand Realms. However, the other 4 Grand Realms didn't have such luck. The Grand Beginning Realm collapsed the most, turning into countless small law-based interfaces that drifted into various positional planes in the void. These small positional planes had different laws, but they became the highest-level interfaces in their respective positional planes. Relatively speaking, the Grand Essence realm was relatively intact. Although most of the places had turned into ruins, they didn't break away from the Grand Essence realm and drift into the void. Because the Grand Essence realm had too many heaven and earth spiritual objects, it also had all kinds of powerhouses. After these powerhouses fell, they turned into various protective laws. These protective laws scattered over the ruins of the Grand Essence realm, and after a long time, they formed the Grand Essence ruins. There were countless mysterious places in the Grand Essence ruins. Even some second-step Tao confirming powerhouses had fallen in the Grand Essence ruins. However, the Grand Essence ruins also created countless powerhouses. Some cultivators obtained great opportunities here and even became overlords. As time passed, 3 powerhouses emerged from the Grand Essence realm. These 3 peerless powerhouses worked together to isolate the parts of the Grand Essence realm that weren't affected. This isolated area was the Grand Essence domain. This kind of isolation didn't mean isolation, but only allowed powerhouses to enter the Grand Essence domain for cultivation. Cultivators with low qualifications couldn't enter. After a long time, 3 areas formed in the Grand Essence realm. The largest was the Grand Essence ruins, and the second largest was the Grand Essence domain. Apart from these areas, there were also some ordinary rogue cultivators and small sections. These areas were outside the Grand Essence ruins and the Grand Essence domain. Some rogue cultivators wanted to achieve greater achievements. If they couldn't gain the recognition of the big sects in the Grand Essence domain, the only way was to go to the Grand Essence ruins to prove themselves. Chapter 852. A few days later, the flying ship once again stopped on a square. After getting off the airship, Ning Cheng looked at the layout of the public square and finally understood why the Boundary Essence Spirit Sea City's public square was arranged like this. It was a simulation of the layout of this place. There was more than one public square here. Ning Cheng saw dozens of large and small public squares. There was a teleportation array in the middle of every square, and at the edge of the square were some merchant houses. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, the teleportation array to the Grand Essence ruins is over there. Nalan Rushua came to Ning Cheng's side and pointed to a large public square not far away. Even without Nalan Rushua's words, Ning Cheng had already seen the transmission array. At the edge of the public square, there was a huge array formation screen with the words Grand Essence Ruins written on it. Price, 80,000 high-grade spirit crystals. Even with such a high price, there were still people who paid the divine crystals and were teleported away. Moreover, Ning Qing also noticed that most of the cultivators coming out of the other teleportation arrays were heading towards the Grand Essence Ruins teleportation array. One could even say that this teleportation array was the most lively. It was no wonder that a group of teleportation formations had to be built here. This was simply a divine crystal collector. Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushue arrived at the Grand Essence Ruins teleportation array and lined up to pay 160,000 high-grade spirit crystals before waiting for the transfer. 2 hours later, Yi Mo and Nalan Rushue followed more than 10 people onto the teleportation formation. The transmission array quickly activated. Ning Cheng was proficient in the Tao of array formations and had studied transmission arrays for quite some time. As soon as he activated the teleportation array to the Grand Essence Ruins, he understood that it was a long-distance teleportation. However, under such a long-distance teleportation, he didn't feel the slightest bit of dizziness. This showed how powerful the array master who built this teleportation array was. In less than half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushue appeared in a teleportation array within a large hall. The two of them followed the crowd out of the main hall and were stunned by the prosperity in front of them. How was this the periphery of a ruin? This was simply a super prosperous starry sky city. The huge plaza, the densely packed commercial buildings, the city square, and countless people, no matter how lively and bustling this place was, no matter how many people there were, it couldn't block the huge words Grand Essence Ruins Quest Hall. The quest hall stood tall in the middle of the largest public square, with many cultivators entering and exiting it. Strange, unexpectedly no one came to rent out their immortal caves. Ning Cheng looked at the cultivators coming and going, as he muttered to himself with some doubts. In such a crowded place, renting a cave abode was naturally the best business. Logically speaking, someone would take the initiative to rent a cave abode at the exit of the teleportation array. Is this friend's first time in the Grand Essence Ruins? Does he still need to rent a cave in the Grand Essence Ruins? There was simply not enough supply to meet the demand. If he wanted to rent a cave abode, he would go there. However, it was difficult to rent a good one. If you have a high-level quest card, then you can rent a higher-level immortal cave. A cultivator standing not far from Ning Cheng spoke with a smile, while simultaneously pointing his finger to the opposite side of the square. Thanks a lot. Ning Cheng cupped his fists and thanked him. As for what the quest card was, Ning Cheng did not know and did not specifically ask about it. He believed that as long as he entered the mission hall, he would be able to inquire about it. Senior apprentice brother Ning, are we going to rent a cave? Nalan Rushue asked. Ning Cheng looked at the opposite side and spoke, let's go and have a look later. Let's go to the quest hall first and ask about the situation. Walking into the quest hall, everyone's eyes were filled with people. In a part of the quest hall, there were also some rest stops and restaurants. Nearly 100 huge array formation screens stood in the middle of the quest hall. Moreover, the areas of these array formation screens were clearly divided. Divine Grasses Quest Screen, Spirit Technique Quest Screen, Artifacts Quest Screen, Materials Quest Screen, Teams Quest Screen. There were all kinds of quests, and each category of quests was divided into several levels. Even Divine Grasses were divided into top grade, high grade, mid grade, low grade, and so on. Ning Cheng looked at the low-grade quests and found that the lowest-grade quests only had a few points. But the top-grade quests even had more than 1,000,000 points. There were also a few quests that didn't have any points written on them. Obviously, these quests were ridiculously high-grade, and the points were set according to the needs of the person who completed the quests. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, why don't we take a few quests and put up a quest to find Senior Apprentice Sister Yen Ji? Nalan Rushue suggested. Ning Cheng understood what Nalan Rushue meant. To put up a quest, one must first have points. If one didn't even have points, how could one post a quest? Wait, let's take a look at the quests first. Ning Cheng was just about to sweep out with his spiritual consciousness when he felt a few extremely powerful spiritual consciousnesses sweep past him. He quickly and carefully retracted his spiritual consciousness. These spiritual consciousnesses were too powerful, several times stronger than the fellow he killed with the 5-colored star splitter arrow a few months ago. Thinking about how the Grand Essence ruins even had second-step Dao confirming powerhouses, Ning Cheng became even more cautious and didn't sweep out with his spiritual consciousness. After walking around the quest hall for a long time, he and Nalan Rishua finally gained a general understanding of the place and finally understood what a quest card was. To pick up a quest in the quest hall, one had to first apply for a Great Cosmological Abyss quest card. There were 5 kinds of Great Cosmological Abyss quest cards, namely Purple Card, Gold Card, Silver Card, White Card, and Black Card. Quest cards could be used to record points, trade tasks, or trade points with each other. The Black Card was the lowest level, and anyone could apply for it as long as they paid 1,000 spirit crystals. If one's transaction points with the quest hall reached 100,000 points, one could apply for a White Card. These transaction points weren't the remaining points in the quest card, but the transaction points with the quest hall. Even if one obtained 100,000 points, one couldn't exchange for a White Card without completing the transaction. Only by spending the 100,000 points would one be eligible to exchange for a White Card. Of course, this transaction had to be with the quest hall. If it was a transaction between cultivators, even 1,000,000 points wouldn't be counted. Exchanging a White Card for a Silver Card required a transaction of 1,000,000 points, while exchanging a Silver Card for a Gold Card required a transaction of 10,000,000 points. As for a Purple Card, it required a transaction of 100,000,000 points. The level of the quest card indicated one's status in the Grand Essence ruins. The higher the level of the quest card, the more precious the things one could trade in the quest hall's merchant house. Next to the Grand Essence ruins quest hall, there was a quest hall's merchant house. This quest hall's merchant house had 5 color floors: black, white, silver, gold and purple. If one only had a black card, one could only trade on the first black floor. The higher the floor, the higher the grade of the things inside. Ning Cheng and Nalan Rishua had just arrived in the Grand Essence ruins and could only apply for a black card each. The black card was only half the size of a palm, and it mainly recorded the task points and transaction points. Come on, let's go pick up a task. I just saw an ice-type spirit technique, the Violent Ice Sea, in the Grand Essence ruins Defying Ice Mound ruins. Let's go to the Defying Ice Mound. Maybe we can find this spirit technique if we're lucky. Ning Cheng didn't choose to go to the Defying Ice Mound on a whim. Instead, he saw that Nalan Rishua had already stepped into the heaven-seated realm of Destiny's 3 realms. However, she didn't seem to have any spirit techniques. Plus, Nalan Rishua had a mutated ice-type spiritual root. Therefore, he might as well help her. For Ning Cheng, picking up a task was just a convenience. In addition to looking for Yen Ji in the Grand Essence ruins, he also wanted to advance further. It would be best if he could reach Dao confirming here. Nalan Rishua froze for a moment. She immediately thought that Ning Cheng might be helping her. But she still couldn't believe it and spoke up, "Senior apprentice brother Ning, but that's a high-rank task." Although the task points were good, and the spirit techniques were also very tempting, the dangers of high-rank tasks were obvious. "I know it's a high-rank task. Let's go and have a look. It doesn't matter if we can't complete it." Ning Cheng nodded. If more people took on the same task, it wouldn't affect them even if they couldn't complete it. In fact, they could even take on the same task after completing it. In fact, most cultivators wouldn't take on a task first. Instead, they would complete the task first. Only those tasks that were easy to complete, with high points, or those with prepaid fees, would take on the task first. "This Dao friend, I think you might as well go to the Grand Essence 7 bridges instead of taking on the Defying Ice Mound's task. Finding the Extreme Violent Ice Sea Spirit technique only gives you 10,000 points, which is considered low among high-rank tasks. But in the Grand Essence 7 bridges, any random task would give you 100,000 points. Moreover, For every additional task, the points would double. A cultivator next to him spoke up with good intentions. Grand Essence 7 Bridges? Ning Qing felt shocked. The cultivator replied, that's right. It's an old task, and many people go there. Although it's a top-grade task, it's safer than the Defying Ice Mounds task. Moreover, I heard that you can even cultivate spirit techniques in the Grand Essence 7 Bridges ruins. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness had already fallen on the high-rank task screen, and he immediately saw the Grand Essence 7 Bridges. In this task, finding any of the specified spirit techniques would earn him 100,000 points. If he found 2 spirit techniques, he would earn 200,000 points, and if he found 3 spirit techniques, he would earn 400,000 points. If he found all 7 spirit techniques, he would earn 4 million points, which was even more than finding the complete Grand Essence Spirit Thunder Spirit technique. Many thanks, Dao friend, for reminding me. Ning Qing quickly thanked him, but his heart still pounded wildly. He didn't expect to see the Grand Essence 7 Bridges here. He even felt 90% sure that the Grand Essence 7 Bridges Spirit Technique was the wordless Heavenly Book 7 Bridges Spirit Technique that he couldn't cultivate. He didn't find any trace of the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique. But now, he might have found the origin of this Spirit Technique in the Grand Essence ruins. Maybe he could learn the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique in the Grand Essence ruins. Ning Qing now had Sunset's Twilight, Maximal Flame, Time Wheel, None to Depend On, Traceless Spear, and other spirit techniques. But once he met a real powerhouse, his real trump card was the 5-colored Star Splitter Arrow. The main reason was that his understanding of the laws had just started. Moreover, these spirit techniques still lacked the foundation to deal with real powerhouses. The 7 Bridges Spirit Technique was a series. What would happen if he learned this spirit technique? Maybe he wouldn't have to shoot the 5-colored Star Splitter Arrow every time. Junior Apprentice Sister Rushua, let's go to the Defying Ice Mound first, and then to the Grand Essence 7 Bridges. Ning Qing didn't even bother to pick up the task. Instead, he took Nalan Rushua and prepared to enter the Grand Essence ruins. Chapter 853. The entrance to the Grand Essence ruins was large, but it didn't have any array formations blocking it. Therefore, anyone could go in. Most cultivators who entered the Grand Essence ruins formed a team of at least 4 people. 3 people were rare, not to mention Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushua. For cultivators like Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushua who had just arrived, if they didn't take the initiative to find other people to team up with them, few people would take the initiative to find them. The two didn't know much about the rules of the Grand Essence ruins. Besides, Ning Cheng wanted to go to the Grand Essence 7 Bridges, so he didn't want to team up with others. After purchasing the latest map of the Grand Essence ruins, he took Nalan Rushua and followed the other cultivators into the Grand Essence ruins. The airship only flew for a day before its speed slowed down. Ning Qing knew what was going on. The various laws in the Grand Essence ruins were chaotic, which made it difficult for ordinary airships to fly at high speeds. Ning Qing didn't want to bring out the starry sky wheel, so he could only use celestial essence like other cultivators. Ning Qing passed through a path of ruins, collapsed mountains, and crisscrossed ravines. Some places even had dead tree roots pointing upwards. Apparently, the entire ground had been turned upside down. No one knew how many tens of thousands of years these tree roots had survived, but they hadn't completely withered. A few more days passed, and Ning Cheng and Nalan Rushua's spiritual consciousnesses couldn't see a single person. From this, one could see the vastness of the Grand Essence ruins. No matter how many cultivators came in, they would just be a drop of water in the Grand Essence ruins. At this point, they could see some worthless fragments of broken weapons, as well as piles of building ruins. It seemed that countless years ago, this place had once been a glorious and lively starry sky city. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept through the ruins but couldn't find anything of value. Most likely, this place had already been turned over countless times by those who came before. Continuing to follow the directions on the Jade Strip map for another 2 days, the two stopped at the entrance of a sloping ice valley. From here, they could clearly hear the whimpering sounds coming from the ice valley, and some of the overflowing icy aura made Nalan Rishua shiver subconsciously. At the edge of the sloping entrance, there was a huge ice sculpture lying on the ground. The ice sculpture had cracks all over it, and it only had one leg and one arm. The aura inside the defying ice mound is so cold. Although Nalan Rishua wasn't a body-forging cultivator, she was still a heaven-seated cultivator. Even before she entered the defying ice mound, she already felt a bit cold. Ning Cheng hesitated before speaking. If you can't bear it, you can enter my true spirit world. Nalan Rishua refused without hesitation. No need. I went to the starry skies from heaven's way alone and wandered around the starry skies. Only then did I realize that sometimes tempering is more useful than hiding in seclusion in the sect. In fact, after entering the starry sky, she, Nalan Rishua, was no longer the pampered child of the Thoughtless Academy. Instead, she became an ordinary starry sky rogue cultivator, a starry sky wanderer. Her harvest from wandering the starry sky for all these years was more than 10 times better than when she was in the Thoughtless clan. More importantly, her will was firmer. In the past, she would never have thought that she would be able to do this. Ning Cheng hadn't even had the time to say anything when several figures descended. 2 men and 2 women, 4 cultivators, appeared in front of Ning Cheng and Nalan Rishua. All 4 of them were eternal cultivators, and one of them, a grey-robed woman, had already reached the full circle of the eternal realm. A male cultivator with a star on his forehead was at the late-stage eternal realm, while the other man and woman were at the early-stage eternal realm. Are you also going to the defying ice mound? The grey-robed female cultivator's gaze swept over Ning Cheng and Nalan Rishua before asking with some surprise. Yes, we're going to the defying ice mound. Ning Cheng nodded. This grey-robed female cultivator wore an old-fashioned dress, and her color looked dull. She didn't seem to want to show off her appearance. But in fact, her appearance didn't lose out to Nalan Rishua's. She shook her head. I advise you not to go in. This junior apprentice sister's cultivation is only at the early stage heaven-seated realm, and it's not even stable. Entering the defying ice mound with such cultivation would only result in death. Although the defying ice mound has many good things, it would be useless if you lose your life. Ning Cheng didn't respond to her words. He knew that this grey-robed female cultivator's words were unpleasant to hear, but she had good intentions. Nalan Rishua quickly bowed and said, "Many thanks for this senior apprentice sister's kind reminder." After the grey-robed female cultivator finished speaking, she didn't care about Ning Cheng and Nalan Rishua and directly rushed into the defying ice mound. Senior apprentice brother Ning. Nalan Rishua looked at Ning Cheng with some embarrassment. She wasn't afraid of death, but she was afraid of implicating Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng showed an indifferent smile. Let's go. Don't tell me we can't go in just because someone said a few words. The grey-robed female cultivator's spiritual consciousness swept out and found Ning Cheng and Nalan Rishua still following them into the defying ice mound. Shaking her head, she wasn't in the mood to care about it anymore. She had reminded them out of kindness, but if they didn't accept her kindness, then what else could she say? Sister Ning, they don't appreciate it. There's no need to worry about such people. The early-stage eternal female cultivator next to the grey-robed female cultivator saw the grey-robed female cultivator shake her head and took the initiative to speak up. The grey-robed female cultivator smiled. I don't need to worry about them. It's just that it's not easy to cultivate to the heaven-seated realm. It's not worth it to lose your life in this place because of reaching beyond your grasp. As far as I know, the tasks to enter the defying ice mound are all high-grade tasks. If a heaven-seated cultivator enters this place, it would only result in death. Forget it, we're about to enter the ice mound. Everyone, pay attention and bring out your defensive weapons. Without the reminder from the grey-robed female cultivator, the other 3 had already brought out their defensive weapons and moved with even more caution. Woo woo woo. Bursts of ice-cold blade lights swept over with a whimpering sound, and these ice-cold blade lights struck the defensive weapons of the 4. Even if the 4 brought out all their defensive weapons, they still couldn't help but shiver a few times in the face of these ice-cold blade lights. The ice-cold blade lights here are very powerful. The early-stage eternal cultivator, who walked at the back, spoke up in surprise. The gray-robed female cultivator spoke up with a cautious tone. The ice-cold blade lights of the defying ice mound contain ice-attributed laws. Even if it's cold in other cold places, it wouldn't be as powerful as the ice-cold blades containing the Tao charm of these laws. This is a good place to comprehend ice-attributed laws, but it's also very easy to get sucked into these laws. Everyone, be careful. The gray-robed female cultivator had just finished speaking when a terrifying roar erupted, and a deathly suppressive feeling swept over the four. Not good, it's the defying ice storm. Run. The gray-robed female cultivator finished speaking and rushed out diagonally. Even without the gray-robed female cultivator's explanation, the others already understood the power of the defying ice mound's defying ice storm. The laws of this defying ice storm were chaotic. Moreover, because of the large-scale eruption, the impact was extremely violent. There was no way to resist it directly. If ordinary eternal cultivators got sucked into this defying ice storm, only death would await them. Boom boom boom. The defying ice storm containing the ice-attributed laws swept past the four like an avalanche. After an incense stick worth of time, the most violent defying ice storm finally passed, but the defying ice blade lights still kept sweeping over. As the defying ice storm moved in a straight line, the gray-robed female cultivators group of four hid in a corner of the ice cliff and managed to escape. However, these defying ice blade lights had no direction. The four of them had to join forces to bring out their defensive weapons to block the endless defying ice blade lights. I'm afraid we're in some danger today. The gray-robed female cultivator looked at the endless ice-attributed laws hitting their defensive weapons and spoke with a solemn tone. The others didn't speak. Before coming to the defying ice mound, they already knew about the defying ice storm. It's just that they didn't expect their luck to be so bad that they encountered the defying ice storm. Generally, after the defying ice storm passed, the ice-attributed laws would continue for several days or even months. If the four of them hid in this corner, they might be able to hold on for a few days. But they couldn't even think about blocking the ice-attributed laws for a few months. If these defying ice blade lights don't dissipate after 3 days, we can only rush out together. The late-stage eternal male cultivator with a star on his forehead spoke up. Hiding in the corner of the ice cliff to resist these defying ice blade lights was much easier than rushing out. With a rumbling sound, Ning Qing immediately felt the ice-attributed laws blade lights. Nalan Rushua shuddered. Even before the ice-attributed laws swept over, she couldn't bear it. That. Nalan Rushua saw the terrifying defying ice storm rushing towards her. But she only had time to say one word before the law-attributed aura locked onto her. She couldn't speak anymore. Boom boom boom. The defying ice storm rolled up endless ice-attributed laws blades and shot over. Nalan Rushua only felt herself drowning in these ice-attributed laws blades. Not to mention resisting, she couldn't even stand. Am I okay? Nalan Rushua soon saw a huge thunder city protecting her and Ning Qing. When the defying ice storm blade lights slammed into the Thunder City, it triggered ice law fragments and lightning arcs that looked like flowers scattered by a celestial maiden. Ning Cheng's luck wasn't as good as the gray-robed female cultivators, and he couldn't find a place to hide in time. Moreover, he didn't know how powerful the defying ice storm was. At least, he didn't know about it before using the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort. When the defying ice storm's violent ice-attributed laws slammed into the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, Ning Qing almost lost control of the Blue Thunder Fort. The violent ice-attributed law storm directly blasted open a gap in the Blue Thunder Fort, and several ice-attributed law blade lights rushed in. Fortunately, Ning Qing stood in front of Nalan Rushua. Therefore, these violent ice-attributed law blade lights directly cut a few bloody wounds on Ning Cheng's body. If Nalan Rushua stood in front of him, even a single wound would have caused her corporeal body to collapse. This kind of law-attributed attack wasn't something a heaven-seated cultivator like Nalan Rushua could withstand. As Ning Qing stabilized the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, the defying ice storm, which looked like the Milky Way pouring down, finally stopped. If the gray-robed female cultivator saw this scene, her eyes would have popped out of their sockets in shock. Facing such a terrifying defying ice storm, apart from dodging, even a Dao sculpting expert wouldn't dare to use a defensive weapon to block it. An eternal cultivator using a weapon to block the defying ice storm, unless they were crazy. But Ning Cheng wasn't crazy. He had indeed blocked it. In addition to the power of the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, his celestial essence and sea of consciousness had long since surpassed the scope of the eternal realm. The most violent defying ice storm quickly passed, and the endless defying ice law's blades that followed didn't pose any threat to Ning Cheng. With these defying ice law's blades, Ning Cheng could even block them for a few months. Chapter 854. Sister Ning, look at them. The early-stage eternal cultivator trapped in the corner of the ice cliff looked at Ning Cheng and Nalan Rishue in disbelief. Even without her reminder, the gray-robed female cultivator and the other two also saw Ning Cheng and Nalan Rishue. How is this possible? The gray-robed female cultivator stared at the dense law ice blades bombarding Ning Cheng's Blue Thunder Fort. The Blue Thunder Fort's lightning arcs filled the sky, but it didn't budge an inch. What a powerful weapon! The early-stage eternal male cultivator stared at Ning Cheng's everlasting Blue Thunder Fort with envy. The gray-robed female cultivator finally calmed down from the shock. She took in a deep breath and spoke in a deep voice, no matter how good that weapon is, without the support of powerful celestial essence and spiritual consciousness, without any contact with laws, it would never be able to block the defying ice blade containing laws. Sister Ning, let's ask him for a favor. The early-stage eternal female cultivator spoke up eagerly. She had completely forgotten what she had said before. The gray-robed female cultivator shook her head and did not ask for Ning Cheng's help. As a full-circle eternal cultivator and a cultivator from a big sect, she naturally had her own pride. Previously, she had tried to persuade Ning Cheng not to enter the defying ice mound. But now she had to ask Ning Cheng for help. Ning Cheng and Nalan Rishue also saw the four people trapped in the corner of the ice cliff. Nalan Rishue did not speak. She did not know if Ning Cheng was willing to help, nor did she know if Ning Cheng had the ability to help. Ning Cheng took the initiative to step forward and spoke, "If the few of you do not mind, you can come with us." Ning Cheng had a good impression of this gray-robed female cultivator. Replaced with an ordinary cultivator, she wouldn't have cared if they lived or died after entering the defying ice mound, let alone warn them. She felt embarrassed to ask others for help, but now that Ning Cheng took the initiative to speak up, the gray-robed female cultivator naturally would not refuse. She quickly spoke up with gratitude, "Many thanks, senior apprentice brother. My name is Kong Ning, and I come from River Luo's sacred sect." With that, she pointed to the other three people beside her and introduced them. "This is my junior apprentice brother Tang Jinshi, and these two are Heaven's Pole Island's senior apprentice brother Jing Xingwen and junior apprentice sister Xie Zhilan." Tang Jinshi was the early-stage eternal male cultivator, while Xie Zhilan was the early-stage eternal female cultivator. Jing Xingwen was at the late-stage eternal realm with a star on his forehead. After Kong Ning finished her introduction, Jing Xingwen, Xie Zhilan, and Tang Jinshi, the three of them, quickly cupped their fists and greeted her before entering Ning City's everlasting Blue Thunder Fort. "My name is Ning Cheng, and this is my friend Nalan Rishue, a rogue cultivator." Since he and Nalan Rishue had just arrived in the Grand Essence ruins, it was always a good thing to get to know more people. "You guys are rogue cultivators?" Tang Jinshi exclaimed in shock. They had previously thought that Ning Cheng was a rogue cultivator. But when Ning Cheng's everlasting Blue Thunder Fort blocked the defying ice law edge and could still move forward, they no longer regarded Ning Cheng as a rogue cultivator. Since ancient times, there were indeed some powerful rogue cultivators, but the truly powerful cultivators had always come from the big sections. No matter how powerful a rogue cultivator was, it was impossible for him to be stronger than a cultivator from a large sect. Ning Cheng just smiled and did not explain. He was originally a rogue cultivator, as such it was not worth mentioning. Kong Ning spoke up with a slightly awkward tone, "I hope senior apprentice brother Ning doesn't mind my arrogant words before." "I naturally don't mind." Junior apprentice Sister Kong Ning is doing this for our own good. Since Kong Ning called him senior apprentice brother, he might as well call her junior apprentice sister Kong Ning. No matter where one went, the strong would always be respected. Kong Ning had the highest cultivation here, and since she addressed Ning Cheng as senior apprentice brother, the others also had to address Ning Cheng as senior apprentice brother. With Ning Cheng's help, the 6 people walked out of the area ravaged by the defying ice edge in just half a day. Endless ice pits and ice packs appeared in front of everyone. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out but could only reach about 1,000 miles before it couldn't extend any further. In the middle of these ice pits and ice packs, 3 twisting ice roads extended into the distance, with no end in sight. Fragmented defying ice edges swept over, but these fragmented defying ice edges had no effect on them. In the distance, the whimpering sounds of the ice blades and the roars of some unknown demonic beasts could be heard. Many thanks for Senior Apprentice Brother Ning's help. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, do you and Junior Apprentice Sister Rushue want to go in from the left or the middle road? After Kong Ning thanked Ning Cheng, she asked Ning Cheng which road they wanted to take to enter the depths of the defying ice mound. Ning Cheng asked in doubt, Junior Apprentice Sister Kong Ning, why didn't you say the right road? Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Kong Ning's group of 4 froze for a moment. Then, Kong Ning asked, didn't Senior Apprentice Brother Ning purchase the introduction jade strip for the defying ice mound before coming to the defying ice mound? Ning Cheng frowned slightly. He truly didn't know that the defying ice mound also had an introduction jade strip. Seeing Ning Cheng's expression, Kong Ning understood that Ning Cheng truly didn't purchase such an introduction jade strip. She felt a little speechless. Was it because he was bold, or because he was ignorant and fearless? Ning Cheng's ability was indeed the strongest eternal cultivator she had ever seen. Therefore, she felt sure that Ning Cheng hadn't reached Tao-confirming realm. Yet, as an eternal cultivator, he could safely face the defying ice storm and the endless defying ice edges. This showed that he truly had the ability. Junior Apprentice Sister Kong Ning, please enlighten me. Ning Cheng quickly cupped his fists. If he knew that the defying ice mound had an introduction jade strip, he would have bought one. Kong Ning nodded and said, according to legend, the defying ice mound is the place where the defying ice holy emperor fell. The defying ice holy emperor's understanding of the ice attributed laws had reached the pinnacle. After he fell here, his cultivation turned into endless ice attributed laws. After these laws shattered, they formed the defying ice edges. The defying ice storm we encountered before was a sudden eruption of the defying ice edges after accumulating them. The spirit technique, the extreme violent ice sea, is one of the defying ice holy emperor's great spirit techniques. It is also a high-level spirit technique task in the Grand Essence Ruins quest hall. In fact, there is another thing in the defying ice mound, the defying ice bead. The defying ice bead has a high price, and it can help cultivators with ice-attributed spiritual roots comprehend the ice-attributed laws. We came here for the defying ice bead this time. But the task we took wasn't issued by the Grand Essence Ruins quest hall, but a task issued by our sect. What does this have to do with the ice road on the right? Ning Cheng asked in confusion. Because the road on the right had undergone a mutation due to the decomposition of the ice-attributed laws. As a result, endless defying ice beasts were born on this road. The defying ice beasts are worthless, but they are extremely ferocious. All of them were born under the mutated laws. A Tao sculpting powerhouse once went there to take a look, but the defying ice beasts besieged and killed that Tao sculpting powerhouse. In fact, apart from the defying ice beasts, there is nothing of value on the road on the right. Therefore, it has no meaning other than danger. The true inheritance of the defying ice holy emperor lies in the middle road. Many cultivators who explored the defying ice mound found some ice-attributed spirit techniques here. Some people even found the bones of the defying ice holy emperor here. So if Senior Apprentice Brother Ning wants to go, don't go to the right road. Kong Ning spoke with sincerity. This was the first time Ning Cheng heard that the laws of heaven and earth could mutate. Law-related spirit techniques were created under the influence of the grand laws. If the laws mutated, what would happen to the laws? Many thanks, Senior Apprentice Sister Kong Ning, for reminding me. But I still plan to go to the right. Ning Qing thought about it for a while and decided to go to the right. As a starry sky cultivator in the eternal realm, Ning Qing already knew that spirit techniques involving laws were much more powerful. He had already come into contact with the laws of space and the laws of time. Although they weren't very profound, they could already kill opponents at a higher level. The mutated laws of heaven and earth in the Defying Ice Mound allowed some low-level Defying Ice beasts to kill Dao sculpting powerhouses, which made him very interested. He even wanted to know if he could comprehend this mutated law under the influence of the mutated laws. Besides, he also had the means to protect himself. No matter how many Defying Ice beasts there were, he still had the time wheel. The time wheel didn't fear besiegement. It didn't matter if one came or a group came. Seeing Ning Qing insist on going to the right, Kong Ning had no choice but to speak up. Then I wish Senior Apprentice Brother Ning good luck. This is my communication pearl. After exchanging communication pearls, the 6 people went their separate ways. As Ning Qing and Nalan Rushue went deeper and deeper, more and more Defying Ice blades appeared around them. Ning Qing had the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, so no matter how many Defying Ice blades there were, it wouldn't affect his speed. The further they went, the colder the road became. Ning Qing could already feel that this coldness was a little different from ordinary ice. This coldness seemed to have seeped into one's soul and started to mutate. Although this coldness had seeped into one's soul, it gave off a strange feeling. Although one's body felt a bone-piercing cold, one's essence spirit felt a unique heat. Ning Qing looked back at Nalan Rushue and found that Nalan Rushue didn't look particularly uncomfortable. It stood to reason that Nalan Rushue would find it difficult to adapt to this situation. But although the Blue Thunder Fort blocked the Defying Ice blades, the aura of the laws caused by the mutated laws didn't change. Junior Apprentice Sister Rushue, do you feel a particularly strange coldness? Cold on the outside but hot on the inside. Moreover, it's that strange kind of heat. Ning Qing asked in doubt. No, I just feel a little chill. It's not like what you said. Nalan Rushue hadn't finished her words when an earth-shattering roar rushed over. Defying Ice beasts. Ning Qing looked at the endless transparent demonic beasts in front of him. Even with the time wheel, he still felt his scalp tingling. These Defying Ice beasts looked like galloping wild horses, and the aura coming from them felt similar to the strange coldness Ning Qing had felt before. They hadn't even arrived in front of Ning Qing, nor had they even launched an attack. But the aura coming from them made Ning Qing feel very uncomfortable. Not waiting for these Defying Ice beasts to attack, Ning Qing shot out a dozen time wheels. The time wheels swept out with a faint grayish wheel light. Ning Qing felt confident in the time wheel's area of effect killing ability. Moreover, these Defying Ice beasts didn't seem to be very strong. As the time wheels swept out, it would be a flat land, and no matter how many Defying Ice beasts there were, they would still turn into nothingness. But when the time wheels swept through the Defying Ice beasts, Ning Qing suddenly felt dumbfounded. His time wheels couldn't even kill a single one of the Defying Ice beasts, apart from knocking them down. The time wheels immediately rushed into the Defying Ice beasts, but the effect wasn't much different from the previous ones. But because of the impact force, a few Defying Ice beasts ended up shattering. Chapter 855. Ning Qing instantly understood what was going on. He also understood why a Dao sculpting expert would fall under the siege of the Defying Ice beasts. The reason why his time wheel was so powerful was because of the laws of time, which could ignore all laws of time. As long as the time wheel swept past it, it would feel as if time had flowed by. Nothing could stop time, which resulted in the sweeping effect. However, these Defying Ice beasts seemed to be the product of mutated laws. Although the laws of time could sweep through things under normal laws, it might not necessarily have an effect on these mutated laws. Maybe when his time wheel grew stronger and the laws of time became more profound, he could sweep through these Defying Ice beasts. But at the same time, if his time wheel grew stronger, why wouldn't these Defying Ice beasts grow? Facing such powerful mutated laws of demonic beasts, to kill them, he would need to master a more powerful lore-related spirit technique, or at least understand the lore-related spirit technique under these mutated laws. If this mutated law was also deduced by the Defying Ice Holy Emperor, then this Defying Ice Holy Emperor was simply too heaven-defying. Let's go. After Ning Qing finished, he grabbed Nalan Rushue and was about to activate the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Wait, senior apprentice brother Ning. Nalan Rushue suddenly called out to Ning Qing. What surprised Ning Qing even more was that the defying ice beasts besieging them suddenly stopped. The endless defying ice beasts surrounded Ning Qing and Nalan Rushue but didn't attack. Ning Qing prepared to activate the twin wings of the heavenly clouds at any time and asked, "What's going on?" "I seem to feel a call, saying that I can inherit the defying ice laws." Nalan Rushue looked at the endless defying ice beasts in front of her in doubt. She did feel a call in front of her. "Can you inherit the defying ice laws?" Ning Qing spoke halfway before recalling Kong Ning's words. "Is it the inheritance of the defying ice holy emperor? By the way, you seem to have a mutated ice-attributed spiritual root." Nalan Rushue nodded, then looked at Ning Qing and said, "Senior apprentice brother Ning, I want to go and have a look." "I'll go with you and have a look." Ning Qing brought Nalan Rushue here to help her find a powerful ice-attributed spirit technique. But now, the Defying Ice Holy Emperor seemed to have taken a fancy to Nalan Rushue's qualifications and wanted to pass on the inheritance to her. Ning Qing and Nalan Rushue had just taken a step when the endless defying ice beasts surrounded them again. The powerful mutated ice-attributed aura made Ning Qing vigilant at all times. "Senior apprentice brother Ning, I'll go alone." After Nalan Rushue finished, she took the initiative to walk out of Ning City's everlasting Blue Thunder City. Sure enough, after she walked out of the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, she did not suffer any attacks from the defying ice blades, nor did those defying ice beasts continue to rush towards her. Ning Qing felt helpless. He could only stay here and wait for Nalan Rushue. As Nalan Rushue walked over, the dense pack of defying ice beasts suddenly separated, revealing an ice crystal-like passage. Nalan Rushue walked along the ice road until she reached a glacial river. The glacial river separated into two sides. As Nalan Rushue walked in, the ice river closed up again. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could no longer feel even half a shred of Nalan Rushue's aura. It felt as if Nalan Rushue had completely disappeared. The defying ice beasts surrounded Ning Cheng as if guarding against Ning Cheng. Feeling helpless, Ning Cheng could only sit down and feel the mutated laws around him. As time passed, Ning Cheng found himself immersed in the laws of heaven and earth around him. He could feel a brand new world of laws. This world of laws was completely different from what he had comprehended before. It was a world of laws that subverted his senses and senses. It's just that this feeling felt very uncomfortable. He clearly wanted to grasp this mutated law, but he just missed that little bit. Not knowing how long it took, Ning Cheng suddenly woke up. He could no longer feel the aura of the mutated laws. Ning Cheng quickly found that the defying ice beasts around him had disappeared without a trace. Even the defying ice blades had disappeared. At this moment, Ning Cheng saw Nalan Rushue walking over from a distance. "Did you accept the inheritance?" Ning Cheng could clearly feel the changes in Nalan Rushue. She clearly had a heaven-seated cultivation, but her body gave off a hint of holiness. Not only that, but it also gave off a faint ice-cold aura. Ning Cheng had already come into contact with laws, so he naturally understood that this was the influence of laws. Ning Cheng frowned slightly. He didn't like Nalan Rushue's ice-cold aura. He was willing to take Nalan Rushue to the Grand Essence Ruins and even help Nalan Rushue find a spirit technique. Apart from Nalan Rushue helping Yen Ji, another reason was that Nalan Rushue had changed a lot. At least, he preferred the changed Nalan Rushue, not the arrogant genius disciple from Graceful Star Mainland who didn't put others in her eyes. But now, Nalan Rushue had a hint of ice-cold aura, which made her less amiable like Ning Cheng had felt. Many thanks, senior apprentice brother Ning. I accepted the inheritance of the Defying Ice Holy Emperor." Nalan Rushua also saw Ning Cheng's frown and spoke with a hint of hesitation. Ning Cheng decided to tell the truth. He and Nalan Rushua had also experienced a period of friendship. Junior apprentice Sister Rushua, I feel that your aura has changed. Does it have anything to do with your inheritance? Nalan Rushua spoke up with a slightly frightened voice. Yes, the inheritance of the Defying Ice Holy Emperor is an ice-attributed law inheritance. After accepting the inheritance of the Defying Ice Holy Emperor, I also have to help the Holy Emperor rebuild the Defying Ice sect. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart. Nalan Rushua didn't really answer his question. What he wanted to ask was what was going on with this ice-attributed law, and why did it change her aura? He believed that Nalan Rushua could understand the meaning of his words. What he wanted was a detailed answer. However, Nalan Rushua only spoke in general terms and didn't explain it in detail. Senior apprentice Brother Ning, I don't know if I should accept this inheritance or not. I want to hear your advice. Nalan Rushua's voice grew softer and softer, and she even lowered her head. Ning Cheng guessed that Nalan Rushua just wanted to take care of his emotions. Even if he told Nalan Rushua not to accept this inheritance, Nalan Rushua probably wouldn't listen to him. I know you already have a decision in your heart. If you really want me to give you a suggestion, I suggest you. Big Brother Ning. Ning Cheng hadn't finished his words when Nalan Rushua suddenly interrupted Ning Cheng's words and stepped forward to hug Ning Cheng tightly. Her soft chest pressed against Ning Cheng's body. Even if Nalan Rushua's body still had a trace of ice-cold aura, it still made Ning Cheng's heart feel a little fiery. However, this fiery feeling quickly dissipated. No matter why Nalan Rushua did this, when she interrupted him, perhaps she had already decided to inherit the inheritance of the Defying Ice Holy Emperor and was ready to rebuild the Defying Ice sect. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng suddenly felt a little at a loss. He and Nalan Rushua stayed here, sharing weal and woe and helping each other. But the inheritance of the Defying Ice Holy Emperor made Nalan Rushua make up her mind. The fiery feeling from Ning Cheng stimulated the love and desire hidden in the bottom of Nalan Rushua's heart. But as the fiery feeling from Ning Cheng dissipated, Nalan Rushua finally sobered up. She sighed. This was the only thing she could do. She took the initiative to ask Ning Cheng for sex. That was the limit of what she could do. If Ning Cheng was willing to take her, even in this world of ice and snow, she would be willing. Then she would not hesitate to take out the inheritance of the Defying Ice Holy Emperor and give it to Ning Cheng. She would even cut off a trace of the Defying Ice laws in her sea of consciousness and go anywhere with Ning Cheng. However, Ning Cheng didn't have the kind of feelings between Dao companions. Even if it was a short-lived physiological desire, it was quickly suppressed by reason. After all, one day, Ning Cheng would still leave her. Instead of waiting for that day to come, she might as well use this opportunity to make her own choice. She understood this truth when she wandered the starry skies. From today onwards, she would be the second sect master of the Defying Ice sect. From today onwards, she would fight for her own goals. Big Brother Ning, I'm leaving. Nalan Rushua released Ning Cheng's hands, gave Ning Cheng a bow, and quickly retreated. Soon, she disappeared from Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng silently looked in the direction where Nalan Rushua disappeared. After a while, he muttered to himself, everyone has the right to choose their own path. I wish you success. Nalan Rushua stood outside the Defying Ice Mound and stopped again. There were a few times when she wanted to go back, but she resisted the urge. Even she didn't know if her choice was right or wrong. But she was sure of one thing. Once she started cultivating the Defying Ice cultivation method, she would completely forget this beautiful relationship. As the successor of the Defying Ice Holy Emperor, she knew it all too well. After a long time, Nalan Rushua wiped her eyes, bent down, and put away the huge ice sculpture at the entrance of the valley. Then, she turned around and left, never looking back. Chapter 856. Ning Cheng originally came to the Defying Ice Mound to help Nalan Rushua find a spirit technique. But now that Nalan Rushua not only found the spirit technique but also the inheritance, Ning Qing naturally wouldn't stay in this place. Although the mutated laws were powerful, it was a pity that the mutated law aura of the Defying Ice Mound disappeared after Nalan Rushua accepted the inheritance. As such, Ning Qing couldn't continue to comprehend the law aura under the mutated law. As soon as Ning Qing walked out of the Defying Ice Mound, he received Kong Ning's message. He immediately replied and waited for less than half an incense stick worth of time before Kong Ning's group of 4 appeared in front of Ning Qing. Among the 4, the star on Jing Xingwen's forehead was a little dim, and there seemed to be traces of blood. It seemed like he was heavily injured. It's a happy event to see senior apprentice brother Ning again. Kong Ning's words stopped before she could finish. She did not see Nalan Rushua, moreover Ning Qing also did not seem to be in high spirits. In her opinion, Ning Cheng's companion, Nalan Rushua, should have died in the hands of the Defying Ice Beasts. As such, it wouldn't be appropriate to continue talking about happy events. I wonder why junior apprentice sister Kong Ning is looking for me. Ning Qing wanted to go to the Grand Essence 7 Bridges and didn't want to talk to these 4 people. Kong Ning quickly replied, "It's like this. I really admire senior apprentice brother Ning's cultivation. I wonder what senior apprentice brother Ning thinks about my River Luo sacred sect." Ning Qing spoke up with an apologetic tone, "I'm really sorry, but this is the second time I've heard of the River Luo sacred sect. The first time was also because of you, so I can't express my opinion. But I think the River Luo sacred sect must be a very big sect for it to be able to cultivate a powerhouse like junior apprentice sister Kong Ning." Hearing Ning Cheng's words, Kong Ning's group of 4 looked at each other in dismay. After a while, Kong Ning spoke up with a dry voice, "Senior apprentice brother Ning, have you really never heard of the River Luo sacred sect?" Ning Qing showed a slight frown. His first sentence was to be polite. What did the River Luo sacred sect have to do with him? Was there a need to repeatedly ask him if he had heard of the River Luo sacred sect? Sensing Ning Cheng's displeasure, Kong Ning quickly spoke up, "It's like this. I want to invite senior apprentice brother Ning to join my River Luo sacred sect. With senior apprentice brother Ning's cultivation, even if he came to my River Luo sacred sect, he would have his own sacred peak." Ning Qing showed a smile, "Many thanks for junior apprentice sister Kong Ning's invitation, but I'm used to being alone. If I join a large academy, I'm afraid that I won't be able to stand the restrictions. If you were to violate the sect's rules, it would be a waste of junior sister Kong Ning's kindness. If junior apprentice sister Kong Ning has nothing else to say, then I will take my leave." Ning Qing initially wanted to ask Kong Ning and the others if they had any information about the Grand Essence 7 Bridges. But in the end, he dispelled the idea. He believed that he wasn't the only one going to the Grand Essence 7 Bridges. After arriving at the Grand Essence 7 Bridges, he could also purchase it from other cultivators. Seeing Ning Qing leave, Kong Ning couldn't speak for a long time. There's such a person who doesn't know of the River Luo sacred sect. He even rejected senior sister Ning's invitation. If anyone else was invited to join the River Luo sacred sect, they would probably wake up laughing in their dreams. Xie Zhilan said in a somewhat incredulous tone. Jing Xingwen, who had a star on his forehead, spoke up, "Therefore, you can only be a puny disciple. Others can go to the Defying Ice Beast area and come out unscathed. What's so great about that? Didn't his Dao companion die in the end? A person who can't even protect his own Dao companion is just like this." Xie Zhilan retorted in an unconvinced manner. Kong Ning waved her hand, "Everyone, stop arguing. Let's go. This kind of powerhouse has his own secrets. It's not surprising that he doesn't want to join the River Luo sacred sect. It's a pity. Sister Ning, are you feeling sorry for the next Grand Essence Great Meet?" Xie Zhilan asked. Kong Ning nodded, "Yeah. If an expert like Ning Qing could join the River Luo sacred sect, my River Luo sacred sect would definitely have a greater say in the next Grand Essence Great Meet. So it's a pity. Without Nalan Rushua, Ning Qing could travel much faster by himself. After the twin wings of the heavenly clouds underwent nirvana, his speed became even faster. Even in the Grand Essence ruins, it didn't affect him at all. The Grand Essence 7 Bridges, one of the most famous places in the Grand Essence ruins. However, unlike what Ning Qing expected, there weren't many cultivators who came to the Grand Essence 7 Bridges. The spirit techniques in the Grand Essence 7 Bridges were indeed very valuable, and many people yearned to obtain them. However, the Grand Essence 7 Bridges was also one of the most dangerous places in the entire Grand Essence ruins. Of the cultivators who entered the depths of the Grand Essence 7 Bridges, only 2 or 3 out of 10 could come back alive. As for whether those 2 or 3 who came back would obtain the Grand Essence 7 Bridges spirit technique, it was something that no one could even dream about. Despite the dangers of the Grand Essence 7 Bridges, only a few cultivators came here. Apart from pursuing greater power, there was another reason. That was, the spirit techniques in the Grand Essence 7 Bridges weren't the only ones. Many cultivators could also find some ordinary spirit techniques here. Moreover, these spirit techniques were equally powerful and worth a lot of points. In the Grand Essence Quest Hall, cultivators liked spirit technique quests the most. After receiving such quests, not only could they learn the spirit techniques, but they could also earn a lot of points. Except for some spirit techniques that couldn't be copied, anyone who completed a spirit technique quest would find a way to learn the spirit technique or engrave the spirit technique before handing in the quest. Ning Qing arrived at the Grand Essence 7 Bridges but didn't see a single person. The entrance to the Grand Essence 7 Bridges was covered in a white mist. This mist isolated spiritual consciousness and contained a highly toxic aura. Not only could this aura strangle spiritual consciousness, but it also contained a violent power. It gave people the feeling that once they entered this fog, they would immediately be strangled to death. This aura was somewhat similar to the aura outside the ancient Shadow Temple. When Ning Qing went to the ancient Shadow Temple, he had also sensed a similar poisonous mist aura at the entrance. It's just that the poisonous mist outside the ancient Shadow Temple wasn't even 1/100th of the one here. Ning Cheng's first feeling wasn't that the mist here was powerful, but that fellow named Zhong Wuchen. The ancient Shadow Temple and the first bridge of coping below were all built by that fellow, Zhong Wuchen. He established the ancient Shadow Temple to learn the 7 Bridges spirit technique. Seeing this place, Ning Qing guessed that Zhong Wuchen must have come to this place before. That's why he simulated this place and built the first bridge of coping. Zhong Wuchen had paid a huge price, but he still couldn't learn the 7 Bridges spirit technique, not even the first bridge. Ning Qing took in a deep breath and decided to enter the white mist to search for the 7 Bridges spirit technique. It wasn't that Ning Qing was conceited, but Ning Qing believed that with the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort and a powerful body-forging cultivation method, he should be able to cope with some sudden crises. More importantly, Ning Qing had always suspected that his 7 Bridges realm book had something to do with the 7 Bridges spirit technique. Now that he had arrived at the Grand Essence 7 Bridges, if he didn't go in and take a look, he wouldn't be able to sleep. Ning Qing brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort and, without any hesitation, stepped into the white mist. The white mist isolated spiritual consciousness, and even Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could only reach a few feet in radius within this white mist. According to Ning Cheng's understanding, the ancient Shadow Temple was arranged by Zhong Wuchen to simulate the Grand Essence 7 Bridges. If he stepped into the white mist, then there should be a gate behind it. But Ning Qing didn't expect that he would step into the air. After stepping into the white mist, he found nothing. It was completely empty below. The moment Ning Qing stepped into the air, a powerful suction force emerged, and he immediately activated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Ning Qing could still release his spiritual consciousness in this place, and coupled with the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, he didn't fall but slowly descended. After a full hour, Ning Cheng's feet finally touched the ground. During this hour, his spiritual consciousness also slowly adapted to the violent poisonous mist around him. Originally, he could only see a range of about 3 feet. But after adapting, he could now see more than 10 feet around him. Around Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness, except for a few white skeletons, the rest of the skeletons were all black, without a single human figure. These skeletons were scattered over the gray-black gravel, and if one didn't look carefully, one wouldn't notice them. The violent poisonous mist repeatedly scoured around the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, but it couldn't break through the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort's defenses. Ning Cheng walked on the grayish-black gravel, while at the same time he took the initiative to stretch out his spiritual consciousness, in order to temper his spiritual consciousness. Thanks to his powerful starry sky sea of consciousness, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness slowly expanded as he tempered it. 150 feet, 200 feet, 300 feet, a day later, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness could already see a range of dozens of miles around him. In the end, he even took the initiative to release some of the violent poisonous mist. When the poisonous mist fell on him, apart from corroding his clothes, it didn't affect his body as much as he imagined. Ning Cheng secretly sighed. His body-forging cultivation method had no continuation after reaching the starry sky body. Otherwise, his body-forging cultivation method wouldn't be too bad in this place. Although there were many skeletons under his feet, Ning Cheng didn't see a single ring. After a few more days, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness finally reached its limit. He then saw the outline of a bridge hundreds of miles away. After seeing the outline of this bridge, Ning Cheng didn't even think about it before speeding up. Soon, Ning Cheng arrived at the bridgehead of this bridge. 5 words were scrawled over the bridgehead: First Bridge of Coping. The 5 words gave off bursts of Tao charm that permeated into one's soul. It was countless times more powerful than the first bridge of coping he saw under the ancient Shadow Temple. But what puzzled Ning Cheng was that he didn't encounter the same gloomy winds as under the ancient Shadow Temple. "Do you also want to cross the bridge?" A sudden voice appeared beside Ning Cheng, and Ning Cheng discovered that someone had appeared beside him without him noticing. He took a few steps back and looked at the cultivator who suddenly appeared in front of him with some vigilance. Ning Cheng had a feeling that this cultivator's cultivation didn't seem to be higher than his own. This cultivator wore a gray robe and had long hair that fell behind his back. Coupled with his slightly pale face, it gave people a very uncomfortable feeling. Seeing Ning Cheng's fear, he quickly waved his hand and said, "Dao friend, you don't have to worry. Since you can walk to the bridgehead of the Bridge of Coping, it shows that you're not ordinary. My name is Zhong Wuchen, and I also want to cross the bridge. But I feel that I'm alone, so I waited here to find someone to team up with." If this cultivator hadn't said that he was Zhong Wuchen, Ning Cheng would have believed that he wanted to team up. But when he heard the name Zhong Wuchen, he immediately felt his scalp tingle. Chapter 857. Zhong Wuchen, wasn't the ancient Shadow Temple related to this fellow? This fellow even built the first bridge of coping in the ancient Shadow Temple to learn the 7 bridges spirit technique. But even so, he didn't manage to learn the first bridge of the 7 bridges spirit technique. Later, when he realized that he couldn't learn the first bridge of the 7 bridges in the ancient Shadow Temple, he decided to leave. He didn't even build the other bridges. The first bridge of coping was built by the 7 bridges Holy Emperor. "I know this place very well, if we..." "Wait." Ning Cheng interrupted Zhong Wuchen's words. "Brother Zhong, did you say that the first bridge of coping was built by the 7 bridges Holy Emperor? It's not a place from the underworld." Zhong Wuchen smiled. "Dao friend, I'm afraid you don't know much about the Grand Essence 7 bridges. The origin of the Grand Essence 7 bridges does have something to do with the underworld. Because of the 7 bridges Holy Emperor's near-death experience, he managed to comprehend the Peerless Spirit technique, the 7 bridges, after returning to the Grand Essence realm. Unfortunately, even if the 7 bridges Holy Emperor spent his entire life, he could only learn the 5th bridge. He couldn't even learn the other 2 bridges. Brother Zhong, does that mean the first bridge of coping here is also fake? Did the 7 bridges Holy Emperor build it to control the 7 bridges spirit technique?" Ning Cheng asked in doubt. Zhong Wuchen nodded. "Yes, the first bridge of coping here is also fake. But if you can comprehend the real 7 bridges spirit technique here, it's definitely not fake." As soon as Zhong Wuchen said those words, he felt that something was wrong. Before he could react, Ning Cheng brought out his long spear. Sunset's twilight. The sunset was infinitely beautiful, but it was close to dusk. This was a law of time-related spirit technique. As the long spear came out, the Tao charm of the spear intent completely solidified the surroundings at this moment. Ling Ji, if you don't hand over Grey Toot Toot today, I will burn your soul for 10,000 years. After the Tao charm of the spear intent locked onto the long-haired man, Ning Cheng's killing intent swept over. He felt sure that this long-haired man in grey robes wasn't Zhong Wuchen. If it were Zhong Wuchen, he wouldn't have come to him for discussion. Since Zhong Wuchen could build such a powerful and terrifying place like the first bridge of coping, his cultivation was definitely much higher than his own. How could Zhong Wuchen not be stronger than him? Moreover, the first bridge of coping that Zhong Wuchen built in the ancient Shadow Temple was a simulation of the first bridge here. If Zhong Wuchen could comprehend the spirit technique of the first bridge here, he would not have gone to the ancient Shadow Temple to build the first bridge. With Zhong Wuchen's amazing talent, since he knew that he couldn't comprehend the spirit technique of the first bridge of coping here, he wouldn't come here a second time. What he said before was also a lie, but the other party also added a "also" to his answer, which meant that this person had seen the ancient Shadow Temple's first bridge of coping. Other than Zhong Wuchen, it was obvious that it was the ghostly cultivator, Ling Ji. At this time, Ling Ji had already shaped his body and successfully upgraded from a ghost cultivator to a human cultivator. This grey-robed man was indeed Ling Ji. As soon as Ning Cheng brought out his sunset's twilight, he understood that it was the laws of time. But before he could break free from Ning Cheng's laws of time, Ning Cheng actually spoke out his name. The grey-robed man had been a ghost cultivator for many years and had only just formed his corporeal body. His essence, spirit and corporeal body hadn't even merged yet. Under such circumstances, it would have been strange if he could escape Ning Cheng's sunset's twilight. The setting sun in his eyes hadn't even completely fallen when he heard the sound of his body tearing apart. Boom! Ling Ji was also a bachelor. He didn't know if Ning Cheng's words frightened him or if he knew that he would die. But at this moment, he didn't even try to resist. Instead, he chose to blow himself up while he could. Violent celestial essence power erupted, and Ning Cheng could only forcibly grab Ling Ji's ring and fly out in anger. As the explosion subsided, the place where Ling Ji stood turned into a huge crater. The laws in the Grand Essence ruins were much stronger compared to the starry skies. Ning Cheng, with his powerful body, had forcibly reached out to grab Ling Ji's ring. However, the explosion had left more than a dozen bloody wounds on his arm. Moreover, the place where Ling Ji blew himself up was just a huge crater. Ning Cheng didn't care about Ling Ji. Instead, his spiritual consciousness fell into Ling Ji's ring. Ling Ji's ring really could store life. But to Ning Cheng's disappointment, he didn't see Grey Toot Toot in Ling Ji's ring. He had killed Ling Ji, and Grey Toot Toot had disappeared without a trace. Ning Cheng didn't even know if it was dead or alive. With a sigh, Ning Cheng put away Ling Ji's ring. Without any hesitation, he stepped onto the first coping bridge. Ning Cheng had just stepped onto the coping bridge when the scene around him suddenly disappeared. Endless nether winds swept over, causing Ning Cheng to feel as if his life essence would be blown away by the nether winds at any moment. Moreover, he still had the protection of the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort's thunder light. Without the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, Ning Cheng suspected that his essence spirit would have already dissipated. Ning Cheng's first thought was to retreat. But when he looked back, the path of retreat had already disappeared. Besides the primal chaos nether winds, there was nothing else around him. Kaka. The everlasting Blue Thunder Fort made kaka sounds under the influence of the nether winds. Even if Ning Cheng constantly stimulated his spiritual consciousness and celestial essence, the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort continued to shrink. Even if Ning Cheng had experienced countless dangerous situations, he couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat in the face of such a situation. He simply didn't know where to start. The whooshing sound also grew more and more gloomy, and Ning Cheng could even hear the sound of rolling waves. When he forced his spiritual consciousness out, he finally saw where the rolling sound came from. It was the same as the ancient Shadow Temple's first coping bridge. The blood river under the bridge roiled, and a bloody aura even rushed up. This bloody aura directly broke through Ning Cheng's protective domain. Apart from the blood river under the bridge, there was no road in front or behind him. Even his spiritual consciousness couldn't see his surroundings. Ning Qing didn't dare to move. Once he took a wrong step and fell into the blood river, he would have no choice but to enter the mysterious yellow bead. The mysterious yellow bead lacked the wood origin bead. Once he entered the mysterious yellow bead, there would definitely be powerhouses in the Grand Essence realm who could sense the mysterious yellow origin aura. Ning Qing suddenly felt the Seven Bridges realm book in the true spirit world tremble slightly. Ning Qing didn't have any other way. Therefore, after feeling the Seven Bridges realm book tremble, he didn't hesitate to take out the wordless Seven Bridges realm book. As soon as the Seven Bridges realm book came out, it rushed out of Ning Cheng's hand and floated above the bridge. At the same time, its pages gave off a buzzing sound. Ning Cheng was surprised to find that the endless yin qi above the first coping bridge, as well as the blood river under the bridge, were crazily sucking away the Seven Bridges realm book. Looking at the Seven Bridges realm book crazily absorbing the yin qi and the blood river's aura, Ning Cheng didn't expect that this ordinary-looking book would have such an ability. It even went out of his control. Soon, Ning Cheng felt the difference in his surroundings. Everything around him became clear, and the terrifying yin wind could no longer lock him down. As long as he wanted to, he could exit the first coping bridge at any time. The bridge of coping under his feet trembled slightly. But before Ning Cheng could react, the bridge of coping under his feet suddenly turned illusory. Ning Cheng didn't have time to think about it. He immediately activated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds and rushed to the other side of the bridge of coping. Ning Cheng had just rushed away from the bridge of coping when the bridge of coping he had been standing on also disappeared completely. It looked like a mass of melting ice and snow. The yin qi, the roiling stench of blood in the river of blood, and even the bridge of helplessness had been absorbed. The blood river had turned into dried-up gray-black gravel, and the bridge of coping that had once supported it had completely disappeared. After absorbing everything here, the Seven Bridges realm book gave off a buzzing sound as if it wanted to fly away. Ning Cheng quickly rushed over and grabbed the Seven Bridges realm book that was about to wash away. After Ning Cheng grabbed the Seven Bridges realm book, it quieted down. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness immediately swept into the Seven Bridges realm book. The first page, which originally had no words, now had a vague bridge. The bridge looked very illusory and didn't look solid. But Ning Cheng could vaguely see the words at the end of the bridge. First coping bridge. Although these words were still vague, the Tao charm contained within them was much stronger than the words on the first coping bridge that had disappeared before. What was going on? The Seven Bridges realm book still trembled as if it would escape at any moment. Ning Cheng couldn't care less about the Grand Essence Seven Bridges. His spiritual consciousness quickly penetrated it and started refining the Seven Bridges realm book again. Previously, no matter how Ning Cheng tried to refine it, he couldn't find any clues in this wordless heavenly book. But after the first bridge appeared, Ning Cheng immediately started refining this Seven Bridges realm book. Ning Cheng continuously comprehended traces of Tao charm and spirit technique laws. The words first coping bridge became even clearer in Ning Cheng's mind. Ning Cheng even felt that he was standing in the middle of the first coping bridge again. The blood river under his feet surged, and the yin wind raged around him. At the same time, a row of black words appeared in front of him. No return in life, no retreat in death. Once you enter, you will never return. No return, no reincarnation. Only the blood river can wash away your sins. A new spirit technique gradually became clear in Ning Cheng's mind, and the Tao charm slowly formed. Just like a 10,000 feet tall building, Ning Cheng slowly stabilized its foundation. Even if Ning Cheng knew that he was far from cultivating the first coping bridge's spirit technique, he still had the ambition to look down on the world. It felt as if the first coping bridge was completely under his control. Anyone who set foot on the first coping bridge would have to crawl and confess their sins. As long as he wanted, the other party would jump into the blood river and wash away all their sins. What a powerful spirit technique. This spirit technique hadn't even harmed the opponent yet, but it had already affected his emotions. A few days later, Ning Cheng breathed in and opened his eyes. He finally understood what the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique was. To be precise, the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique was a weapon, and this weapon was the 7 Bridges Realm. When this weapon became ownerless, it would turn into a wordless book called the 7 Bridges Realm Book. The 7 Bridges Realm was a weapon, but it was also a spirit technique. It was a spirit technique and a weapon that complemented each other. If one only learned the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique, without the 7 Bridges Realm, one would never be able to use the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique. Even if one could use it, it would have no spirit. To cultivate the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique, one must have the 7 Bridges Realm. After cultivating the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique, one would become immortal and bring about reincarnation. If a cultivator who cultivated the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique died before fully cultivating the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique, even with the 7 Bridges Realm, the cultivator's spirit technique would dissipate. The 7 Bridges Realm would turn into a realm book and automatically disappear. Chapter 858. Ning Cheng looked at the 7-page book in his hand and felt shocked. He didn't expect the 7 Bridges Realm book to be this heaven-defying. But in the face of the first bridge of coping, or rather, in a situation where it wasn't even 1/10 of the real first bridge of coping's spirit technique, he felt helpless. If he truly cultivated the first bridge of coping, how terrifying would this spirit technique be? If he could cultivate all 7 bridges, then even a Tao perfection expert at the second step of Tao confirming wouldn't stand a chance in front of him. Ning Cheng thought back to Ling Zhi's words. The 7 Bridges Holy Emperor must have cultivated the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique because he obtained the 7 Bridges Realm. Even a powerhouse like him could only cultivate up to the 5th bridge, which showed how difficult it was to cultivate the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique. Ning Cheng took out a jade box and put away the 7 Bridges Realm. Comprehending the first bridge of the 7 Bridges Spirit Technique wasn't something that could be done in a day or two. He had to find time to go into seclusion and slowly comprehend it. But comprehending it in this place wasn't realistic. Moreover, the first bridge of the 7 Bridges Realm hadn't formed yet. Even if he mastered the first bridge of coping spirit technique, he couldn't exert 100% of the power of the first bridge. With Ning Cheng's current understanding of the 7 Bridges Realm book, he had to wait until he fully comprehended the first bridge of coping before the vague shadow of the bridge of coping in the book solidified. The road after the first bridge of coping was no longer gray-black gravel. Instead, it turned into a khaki-colored path. It looked like a field road at the entrance of a village, and it was surrounded by the chirping of birds. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out, but he couldn't see a single bird flying around. The surroundings were still a blur. After walking for a few dozen miles, another bridge appeared in front of Ning Cheng. This bridge was a little different from the first bridge of coping. The khaki-colored bridge had the same color as the dirt road that extended to the end of the bridge. If one didn't look closely, they wouldn't even be able to tell if it was a bridge or an extension of the dirt road in front of them. Ning Cheng stopped at the end of this khaki-colored bridge. This bridge also had 5 characters with powerful Tao charm carved on it, Second Village Viewing Bridge. With the experience gained from the first bridge of coping, Ning Cheng took out the 7 Bridges Realm book and stepped onto the Village Viewing Bridge. As soon as Ning Cheng set foot on the Village Viewing Bridge, endless Tao charms descended, and the scenery around him changed in an instant. He stood barefoot on the field path of Dongha Village. At this moment, he forgot everything that happened later. He returned to the carefree youth he used to be. Just as he was about to run across the field, he instantly grew up. He embarked on a journey away from his hometown. A yellow bridge separated his hometown from the outside world. Ning Cheng wanted to look back, but was hindered by a kind of resolute heart. He wanted to pursue something more powerful. At this moment, he did not hesitate to step onto the yellow bridge. Do not look back when you step on this bridge, for there is no one waiting for you at the end of the village. Don't look at each other, don't be hesitant. The moment you step on this bridge, your heart is broken. A kind of sadness and depression welled up in his heart, causing Ning Cheng to be unable to control himself. He had a vague feeling that as long as he stepped on this earthy yellow bridge, he would no longer have any interest in living. He wanted to turn back, but the incomparably powerful aura suppressed him, making it impossible for him to do so. This suppression made him want to take the second step quickly. Since he would break his heart sooner or later, he didn't want to continue wandering around. Just when Ning Cheng was about to take the next step, the Seven Bridges Realm book once again rushed out of Ning Cheng's palm and floated above this earthy yellow bridge. The endless Dao charm aura and all the surrounding scenery swept away by the Seven Bridges Realm. After a while, the scenery around Ning Cheng completely disappeared. Ning Cheng looked down at his raised foot, and cold sweat broke out on his back. This second village viewing bridge was just a spirit technique projection, but it almost made him lose himself. Or rather, without the Seven Bridges Realm book, he would have already lost himself. No wonder so many people fell on the Grand Essence Seven Bridges. Without the Seven Bridges Realm book, he would have already fallen. Most likely, the cultivators who could escape from the Grand Essence Seven Bridges all had top-grade escape talismans. By the time Ning Cheng landed on the opposite side of the village viewing bridge, the Seven Bridges Realm book had already swept away the village viewing bridge. This time, the Seven Bridges Realm book didn't escape but fell into Ning Cheng's hands. Ning Cheng hadn't completely taken control of the Seven Bridges Realm yet. But at least he had left a trace of his spiritual sense in the Seven Bridges Realm. Without anyone snatching it, it was only natural for the Seven Bridges Realm to return to Ning Cheng's hands. Opening the Seven Bridges Realm book, Ning Cheng saw a vague bridge-shaped outline on the originally blank second page. He had already obtained 2 of the Seven Bridges spirit techniques. Although Ning Cheng didn't cultivate these 2 spirit techniques, as long as he obtained these spirit techniques, he would eventually succeed in cultivating them. With the experience gained from the first and second village viewing bridges spirit techniques, Ning Cheng once again arrived at the bridgehead of the third Forgetting River Bridge. But he no longer stepped on it. Instead, he threw out the Seven Bridges Realm book first. The Forgetting River Bridge looked like a misty bridge. Apart from the vague outline in the middle, the surroundings were filled with mist. Ning Cheng quickly crossed the Forgetting River Bridge when the Seven Bridges Realm book began to absorb all the scenery around the Forgetting River Bridge. This time, he didn't feel any influence and easily reached the other side of the Forgetting River Bridge. The third Forgetting River Bridge disappeared completely and turned into a bridge shadow on the third page of Ning Cheng's Seven Bridges Realm book. Ning Cheng once again arrived at the bridgehead of the fourth bridge. The fourth bridge was the Yellow Springs Bridge. Under the Yellow Springs Bridge was a tumbling yellow river. The bridge itself was made entirely of bluestone and looked quite imposing. Ning Cheng just stood at the bridgehead, but the Dao charm emanating from the bridge suppressed Ning Cheng to the point that he couldn't even stand straight. Ning Cheng didn't think about it and directly threw out the Seven Bridges Realm book. No matter how amazing the momentum of the Yellow Springs Bridge was, under the influence of the Seven Bridges Realm book, it still turned into a Dao charm aura and got swept away by the Seven Bridges Realm book. By the time Ning Cheng reached the other side of the Yellow Springs Bridge and grabbed the Seven Bridges Realm book, the outline of the fourth Yellow Springs Bridge had appeared on the fourth page of the Seven Bridges Realm book. The fifth Reincarnation Bridge looked even more blurry and hazy than the third Forgetting River Bridge. At least, one could still see the misty shadow of the Forgetting River Bridge. Ning Cheng stood in front of the Reincarnation Bridge. But apart from the words Fifth Reincarnation Bridge, he couldn't see or feel anything on the Reincarnation Bridge. Ning Cheng didn't care about this. He hadn't even come into contact with the spirit technique of the first Reincarnation Bridge, let alone the fifth Reincarnation Bridge. All he could do was throw out the Seven Bridges Realm book and let the Seven Bridges Realm book sweep away these spirit techniques. In the future, he would slowly comprehend them, and one day, he would be able to transform into any bridge with a raise of his hand. Even the blurry and tumbling Reincarnation Bridge would be in vain under the influence of the Seven Bridges Realm book. After half an incense stick worth of time, the Seven Bridges Realm book fell into Ning Cheng's hands, and the outline of the fifth Reincarnation Bridge appeared on the fifth page. After Ning Cheng's Seven Bridges Realm book swept away the fifth bridge's spirit technique, his surroundings suddenly started to tumble, mixed with dull rumbling sounds. In just a few breaths, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness suddenly opened up. The aura that suppressed Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness suddenly disappeared. Around Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness, apart from the tumbling space, where could he find the sixth bridge? The rumbling sounds grew louder and louder, and the space around Ning Cheng also started to tremble and become extremely unstable. Not good, this place is about to collapse. Ning Cheng quickly wielded the twin wings of the heavenly clouds and rushed out. In just a moment, an earth-shattering rumbling sound came from behind him. Dust filled the sky, and the white poisonous mist also began to dissipate. In just a short time, the white poisonous mist dissipated completely. Ning Cheng stood in the void and looked at the Grand Essence 7 bridges disappearing, feeling shocked in his heart. The Grand Essence 7 bridges had collapsed after he took away the 5th bridge's spirit technique, and he didn't see the 6th bridge. From the looks of it, Ling Zi's words were true. The 7 bridges Holy Emperor truly didn't control the 6th and 7th bridges spirit techniques. Calling himself the 7 bridges Holy Emperor was a complete boast. Ning Cheng even suspected that the 7 bridges Holy Emperor didn't comprehend the 7 bridges spirit technique. Instead, he already had the 7 bridges spirit technique. After obtaining the 7 bridges realm book and the 7 bridges spirit technique, the 7 bridges Holy Emperor named himself 7 bridges. However, he could only comprehend 5 of them. Since the Grand Essence 7 bridges collapsed, Ning Cheng knew that this matter would soon spread. He quickly activated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds and instantly escaped. As for contributing the 7 bridges spirit technique in exchange for points, Ning Cheng didn't even think about it. Since the 7 bridges spirit technique was already in his hands, how could he take it out? Even if he knew that others couldn't learn it, he wouldn't take it out. After Ning Cheng left, the news of the Grand Essence ruins Grand Essence 7 bridges collapsing quickly spread out. The Grand Essence 7 bridges was one of the most famous places in the Grand Essence ruins. Now that this place had collapsed, countless cultivators poured into it, and the collapsed Grand Essence 7 bridges no longer posed any danger. Even some powerhouses came to the Grand Essence 7 bridges to find out why the Grand Essence 7 bridges suddenly collapsed. Chapter 859. Wait a minute. Ning Cheng, who was still in a hurry, found himself stopped by 2 cultivators, a man and a woman. Both of them were at the late-stage Eternal Realm. Seeing Ning Cheng stop, the male cultivator cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng. Did this Tao friend come from the Grand Essence 7 bridges? Ning Cheng looked at the 2 people in doubt and asked, "Why do the 2 of you want to ask such a question?" The male cultivator explained, since the Grand Essence 7 bridges collapsed, almost everyone who heard the news went to the Grand Essence 7 bridges to look for opportunities. I saw Tao friend walking in the opposite direction of the Grand Essence 7 bridges and wanted to ask if Tao friend had been to the Grand Essence 7 bridges. Did you leave because you didn't have a chance? Ning Cheng understood that these 2 people also wanted to go to the Grand Essence 7 bridges when they heard that the Grand Essence 7 bridges had collapsed. It's just that it would take 2 days to reach the Grand Essence 7 bridges from here. If he couldn't find anything after arriving at the Grand Essence 7 bridges, wouldn't it be a wasted trip? The Grand Essence 7 bridges collapsed. Ning Cheng looked surprised and immediately asked, "What's going on?" The man and woman realized that Ning Cheng didn't know anything about the collapse of the Grand Essence 7 bridges and felt a little disappointed. The male cultivator still explained the information they obtained to Ning Cheng. After Ning Cheng listened to the male cultivator's words, he frowned slightly and said, "From here to the Grand Essence 7 bridges, it would take a few days. Plus, the Grand Essence 7 bridges collapsed 2 days ago. I'm afraid that even if you found something good, you wouldn't be able to get it." The male cultivator also agreed with Ning Cheng's words, "I also think so, which is why I haven't made up my mind yet." After saying that, he turned to the female cultivator next to him and said, "Yuling, let's not join in the fun and go to the Broken Land to look for law soil. If we're lucky, we might even be able to find 1 or 2 law crystals." Ning Cheng quickly asked on hearing this, "Excuse me, what is this law soil?" The male cultivator looked at Ning Cheng in doubt for a while before asking, "Tao friend is in the Grand Essence ruins, yet you don't know about law soil?" Ning Cheng immediately replied, "I just arrived at the Grand Essence ruins, and as soon as I arrived, I went to the Defying Ice Mound. I'm not very clear about many things in the Grand Essence ruins, so I'll have to ask you about it. The male cultivator didn't doubt it. After all, many cultivators who came to the Grand Essence ruins for the first time had little experience. However, he still took out a jade strip and handed it to Ning Cheng. This has an introduction to the Broken Land. Dao friend, you can take a look at it. We will take our leave first. He obviously did not want to be together with Ning Cheng. After handing the jade strip to Ning Cheng, he immediately said his goodbyes to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng did not care about it, as he used his spiritual consciousness to sweep through the jade strip. After a while, Ning Cheng understood what Law Soil was. The Broken Land was one of the places in the Grand Essence ruins. It was the most thoroughly destroyed place. Even some of the heaven and earth laws had been destroyed during the war. However, this place was different from other places. For some unknown reason, after countless years of war, the law of heaven and earth in this place had been destroyed had condensed Law Soil. The biggest role of Law Soil was to cultivate Dao fruits. There were many types of Dao fruits, and most of them contained the laws of heaven and earth. Different Dao fruits contained different nomological Dao runes. Some contained the great Dao laws, while others contained the laws of divine abilities. It was precisely because of this that the Dao fruit could allow one to comprehend the Dao runes and successfully corroborate the Dao. If he could refine it into a Dao pill, his chances of comprehending the Dao would be even greater. But how many cultivators were there in the vast universe? There were simply too many to count. No matter how difficult it was to reach Dao sculpting, even 1 in a trillion, countless cultivators still managed to reach Dao sculpting. What's more, after reaching Dao sculpting, each realm, and even the comprehension of the laws of spirit techniques, required the help of some Dao fruits. Not to mention that without relying on Dao fruits, only relying on their own epiphanies to reach Dao confirming, there were very few of them. With so many cultivators in need of Dao fruits, the number of Dao fruits in the world was limited. Therefore, it required some Dao of alchemy powerhouses to cultivate Dao fruits. Dao fruits contained all kinds of nomological Dao runes, and some top-grade Dao fruits even contained the laws of heaven and earth. How could such things be cultivated with ordinary materials? It required more than just starry sky spirit chi or spirit chi. The most important thing to cultivate Dao fruits was to infuse the various nomological Dao runes into the Dao fruit tree and then transfer them to the Dao fruit. Even a cultivator proficient in many laws couldn't transfer their comprehension of the laws to the Dao fruit tree. As for the wild Dao fruit trees in the world, they were even rarer. Dao fruit trees that could bear Dao fruits were rare to begin with. Even if some Dao fruit trees could bear Dao fruits, they would be transplanted. Every Dao fruit tree was a rare treasure. Moreover, the reason why any Dao fruit tree could grow and condense Dao fruits was because the place where it grew and the surrounding laws of heaven and earth were very suitable for its growth. Once it was moved, unless it was a top-grade spirit treasure law land, even if the Dao fruit tree didn't die, it would be very difficult for it to bear Dao fruit again. At this time, Law Soil became particularly important. Law Soil could help the Dao fruit tree grow and condense a trace of nomological Dao charm aura during its growth. Even if the Dao fruit tree was transplanted, as long as there was enough Law Soil, the Dao fruit tree could still grow and condense Dao fruits. The Grand Essence Quest Hall had a collection task for Law Soil, but there were too few places where one could condense Law Soil. Because of this, Law Soil was worth a lot of points. Just a fingernail alone was worth 100 points. Moreover, the bigger the Law Soil, the more valuable it was. If one obtained a fist-sized piece of Law Soil, it would be worth 100,000 points. Because the larger the volume of Law Soil, the more complete the Law aura it contained, and the easier it would be absorbed by the Dao fruit tree. On the other hand, Law Soil was one of the few things that could give out points while also compensating for spirit crystals. In other words, no matter how many points one exchanged for Law Soil, one could also receive the same amount of high-rank spirit crystals. Law Soil was just too valuable. Coupled with the low risk of searching for Law Soil, many cultivators went to the Broken Land to look for Law Soil. As more and more cultivators looked for lost soil, it also led to the scarcity of lost soil. No matter how much lost soil there was, it couldn't keep up with so many people searching for it. After Ning Qing checked the broken land, he decided to go to this place to look for lost soil. In terms of strength, few eternal cultivators could pose a threat to him. But in this place, eternal cultivators were just ants. Ning Qing also knew that the eternal cultivators who couldn't threaten him were cultivators who hadn't transformed their celestial essence into spirit essence. If there were cultivators in the eternal realm who could transform their celestial essence into spirit essence, would he still be an opponent? Not to mention Dao sculpting cultivators. He hadn't really come into contact with Dao sculpting cultivators yet. Chuan Xinluo said that he had successfully reached Dao confirming realm, but it was just his side of the story. Ning Qing didn't even know what a Dao sculpting cultivator was. Whether Hong Luan and the naked dark-skinned cultivator, whom he killed, were Dao sculpting cultivators or not, Ning Qing didn't know. Now that he obtained 5 of the Grand Essence 7 Bridges spirit techniques, the most important thing for him now was to improve his cultivation. Although it wasn't realistic to advance to the late-stage eternal realm in a short time, he could still transform his celestial essence into spirit essence during this period. Once his essence qi transformed, his strength would definitely rise to a whole new level. The broken land wasn't the same as Ning Cheng had imagined. According to Ning Cheng's thoughts, this place should be filled with ravines and rivers. It should have looked like a scene of devastation. But after Ning Cheng came to this place, he realized that his thoughts were completely wrong. The broken land didn't have any ravines at all. Even if there were some, they had been dug out by people. This place was more like a boundless, rugged plain. After entering the broken land, Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and found only human figures. The broken land was so vast that even a place as big as the striking order starry sky wouldn't be able to see it. It's just that there were too many cultivators looking for lost soil in this place. Moreover, this was just what he could see on the surface. He couldn't even count the number of cultivators looking for it underground. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness had already reached a high level. But in this place where spiritual consciousness was restricted, no matter how powerful his spiritual consciousness was, it could only scan a small area. As Ning Cheng ventured deeper, he found fewer and fewer cultivators on the surface of the broken land. Ning Cheng understood that it was just a superficial phenomenon. Moreover, the essence qi fluctuations under his feet told him that many cultivators were looking for it underground. Ning Cheng kept walking for a day and felt that he had reached the depths of the broken land. Only then did he find a place to burrow underground. He had never seen lost soil before, but he knew that it was unrealistic for someone to show him something like lost soil. Fortunately, the jade strip given to him by that male cultivator had a very detailed introduction. Lost soil was the soil for cultivating Dao fruits. Since it contained the laws of heaven and earth, it was easy to recognize. Soil containing a trace of the laws of heaven and earth was indeed easy to recognize. As long as a cultivator reached the heaven-seated realm, or even a cultivator in the heaven's mandate realm, they could easily recognize it. Although it was easy to recognize, it didn't mean that it was easy to find. After Ning Cheng burrowed nearly 10,000 meters underground from the place he chose, he began to seep out his spiritual consciousness to look for the lost soil. An average cultivator standing on the ground would find it hard to penetrate a few thousand meters with their spiritual consciousness. Ning Cheng chose to burrow 10,000 meters underground to ensure that no cultivator could use their spiritual consciousness to sweep through the ground. 3 days later, Ning Cheng felt thoroughly disappointed. He didn't slack off at all. Instead, he carefully searched for it for 3 days. During these 3 days underground, he had almost searched hundreds of miles around him in detail. However, he couldn't find a single bit of soil with the aura of laws. On the 4th day, after Ning Cheng searched for another half a day, he started to beat the drums of retreat in his heart. At this rate, even if he found a fingernail-sized chunk of lost soil, it wouldn't be worth it. Ning Cheng planned to search for it for another half a day. If he still couldn't find it, he would return to the Grand Essence Ruins quest hall and choose another task to earn points. Perhaps it didn't want Ning Cheng to change the task. But shortly after Ning Cheng made this decision, he felt a trace of law fluctuations. The fluctuations of the laws of heaven and earth were clearly different from the fluctuations of law soil. Therefore, when Ning Cheng felt this fluctuation, he immediately knew that it was law soil. He immediately rushed over. But just when he wanted to reach out and grab the clump of law soil, an essence chi fluctuation appeared in front of Ning Cheng and swept the clump of law soil away.